This is the Commander Masters limited set review, rares and mythics.
I'm Mia, and I love it when all of my basic lands match.
I'm BZ, and I love Amber. And we are the Nitpicking Nerds, and you can support us on Patreon if you want to go get some sweet perks for yourself and some sweet additional content that you can't get anywhere else. I'm thinking that's the way to spend your money. That's what I'm thinking.
Another way to spend your money is ordering through Cool Stuff Inc., another sponsor for this video. If you use the code
NERDS
at checkout, you're going to save 5% on your entire order on whatever you want from the site.
Seems pretty sweet.
And saving you real dollars.
Yes, Dragon Shield, best sleeves in the multiverse.
Good sleeves.
Check out the EU or the US links to buy some shields, as we like to call them. Once you buy the shields, you can sleeve up your deck and have a pretty awesome time.
And want to know where you can build your deck? Moxfield.com, the best way to build your deck online. There's going to be an ad for Moxfield somewhere in this video, and you can't guess where it is. If you guess and you say you got it right, you're lying.
Long video, so good luck with that. And happy birthday to everyone whose birthday is today. Very important, special birthday. Today is Amber's birthday. So from all of us, and I'm sure all of you, please wish her a happy birthday in the comments. She will very much appreciate it. I'll make sure she reads them all.
She's 11 today, so if you want to personalize it. And also, happy birthday to everyone whose pets' birthdays are today, just like Amber.
Yeah, it's little baby. All right, so this is the Commander Legends limited set review for rares and mythics. We're going to get you all ready, learn everything you need to know about the set for drafting. This is to play the actual format, and we got some differences between this draft format and a regular draft format. I'm going to run over those real quick. There's 2 picks per pack. The color identity of your commanders is going to impact what cards can and cannot go in your deck. If you have a green commander and a white commander, you can't play any cards that are blue, red, or black. 20 cards per pack. You're going to take 2 each time you draft. It's kind of hard to wheel cards. If there's 8 players in the draft, 2 people times 8 is 16, so you're going to get 4 packs on the wheel.
Another thing to remember in this is that you're going to have 60 card decks, unlike the 40 card decks that you usually have in draft formats. Monocolored Legends also have partner, so you can pair up 2 monocolored Legends even though they don't specifically say partner on them. They're 4-player games like a normal Commander game. You don't have a singleton format, so if you draft multiple copies of the same card, you can play them all in your deck, and you don't have a sideboard, just like in normal Commander.
Yeah, you only play 1 game, so there's no reason to have a sideboard. And we're going to be grading these on an A through F scale. I'm going to run down what that means. A's are bombs. They're good when you're ahead. They're good when you're behind. They can take over a game all by themselves. This is like board wipes, win conditions, absolute haymakers. B's are the reasons you can be in a certain color. If you get past some of these cards that are multicolor or otherwise you go, oh, I think this color is open, they're some of the strongest cards in the colors. C's are the pawns of limited, as another podcast so lovingly says. They're just complete filler, and you're okay with playing a few C's. Every deck's going to have a bunch of them. D's are kind of mediocre. Sometimes you're kind of unhappy to play them. Usually if your deck has a lot of D's in it, you maybe misevaluated something or you're in the wrong colors. F's, literally unplayable. I would say never play these or almost never play these. And there's a different category, which is build-arounds. It means the card is basically trash by itself, but if you can put it in the right deck, surround it by the right cards, it's going to be amazing.
We're going to start off with the white cards, and we're going to go through the rares and mythic rares. The first one is Alms Collector for 3 and a white for a 3/4 flash creature that says, if an opponent would draw 2 or more cards, instead you and that player each draw a card. I think this effect is really, really nice, but I'm a little bit worried considering that there's not as much card draw in the set as I would like.
Yes, please go watch our limited set review for commons and uncommons if you haven't yet, or check it out after this to get the full rundown of the format. But the rares are not going to be in every pack. You're going to mostly play with commons and uncommons, and we went through all those. There's not a lot of ways to draw 2, 3, 4 cards. I think this is actually going to be pretty mediocre, and it's probably more like a D.
Yeah, I think it's a D. If there was more card draw, I would bump it up at least a little bit. But we looked it over with the commons and uncommons, and there's not a ton of ways to draw those cards.
Yeah, there's card advantage, but a lot of it doesn't manifest in the form of card draw, which is what this thing needs to happen. Let's go to Angelic Field Marshal, 2 white for a 3/3 flyer. Lieutenant, as long as you control your commander, it gets +2/+2, and creatures you control have vigilance. So it's like a 5/5 flyer for 4, and it gives all your creatures, including this, vigilance. So you can chip in for a little bit of damage. This to me feels like a more like above rate uncommon than a crazy rare.
Yeah, I think we think that because of the Lieutenant cycle, there were so many good ones in the commons and uncommons.
I think I like all 5 of those better than this one.
Yeah, Vigi's nice, but it's not the powerhouse that putting +1/+1 counters on all your creatures is, or making like a 1/1 or something like that. This seems kind of meh in comparison.
Yeah, it looks like a C+. Like, I'm going to be happy to play it. It's a 5/5 flyer with vigilance, but it doesn't really do anything else.
Yeah, it's fine at C.
Fair.
Next is Avacyn, Angel of Hope, 5 white for an 8/8 flying vigilance, indestructible. Other permanents you control have indestructible. I think if you can get this off the ground, because triple white might be tough, giving everything indestructible in this combat meta that goes later is going to be like very strong.
I mean, I think 8 mana is going to be tough, but this card can be your commander and you can have access to it every single game. The things you're going to have to watch out for are Resculpt and Reality Shift are going to be floating around at common and uncommon respectively, so they could snipe Avacyn. But you do have access to weird cards that aren't going to see play by anybody else, like Shelter we talked about last episode. It's going to come around. No one's going to take that card. And you can maybe protect Avacyn with something like that. This could be pretty brutal. Like, this can't go that poorly for you. You just get to get free attack right away, generate all this value. If you fire off a board wipe that doesn't kill any of your stuff, you're just going to win. What it's like a B+?
I think it's B+. Like, if it gets killed a couple times, it's going to be uncastable, but since it's indestructible, if they already use their path or resculpt or something, I think you might be like in the clear.
Yeah, it's not quite a game-dominating bomb, but I think it's pretty good. It's pretty close.
Yeah, I'm happy to take this.
Yeah, A- maybe, but I'll stick with B+ for now. Let's go to Balan, Wandering Knight, 2 white for 3/3 first strike. It has double strike as long as 2 or more equipment are attached to it. That's kind of a big ask. And you can pay 1 and a white to attach all equipment you control to Balan. So he cheats equip costs, but only for himself. Kind of a selfish man, a selfish cat knight. What do you think of this?
I don't think it's that good. I mean, it's at that point when you're cheating all the equip costs, you're going to try and be going for like a Voltron strategy, which isn't the worst, but also if he's not out, there's so many equipment that we've already reviewed in commons and uncommons with such high equip costs that I feel those are going to be kind of sitting dead on the field without him.
Yeah, red-white equipment is not looking super great from the commons and uncommons. Maybe the rares save it to where you start off with a couple great rares, and then you end up in that deck, and the mediocre commons get balanced out by the really strong rares. This doesn't seem particularly strong. It seems like a C+, where like you want the equipment to give him evasion or something, because he's going to already get double strike.
I'd even say C, because if he's not on the field, all your equipment is like not as good. And
Well, we have to assume he's on the field if we're grading him.
Yeah, I guess. But I don't know. I'm not a big fan, I'd say.
No, he's not fantastic. Just okay.
Flawless Maneuver, 2 and a white, that says if you control a commander, you can cast it for free. Creatures you control can indestructible until end of turn. I mean, we're getting into the free cycle of spells here, and it's great that they got a reprint. In a combat meta, this is going to be great. I'd say this isn't like game warping, but it is a little like in your pocket, like, just in case spell. And I do like it.
Yeah, it can, even if it just saves one of your creatures, the fact that it's free means you don't have to waste all this mana and resources to hold it up. You just have your commander out, and now you can protect it. Whatever else, if someone fires off a particular type of board wipe like Slice and Dice or Kirtar's Wrath, you go, boom, gotcha, game over, I'm going to win now. It's a gigantic blowout. I think it's probably a B.
Yeah, I think B's good.
Yeah, the free part really pushes it over. This next card is going to be tricky. Grand Abolisher is white for a 2/2. During your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. So it's like you can't really be interacted with on your turn, but the question is, how relevant is that? And we know as you put more pressure on games to end sooner, that becomes super relevant. But these games do not end soon. They're like hour-plus games. So what do you think?
I think that a lot of people think this is like a sweaty or try-hard card, but I think it actually scales really, really well to the power level that you're playing it in, because its ability is less relevant the lower power you get or the longer games take, because we're not trying to combo off on our turn here.
So you don't think it's very good?
Yeah, I don't think it's that great in this, honestly. The power level of the set might be high, but games are still taking 6 to 10 turns, I think.
It's nice to have some insurance. I'd put this in my Avacyn deck for sure. It makes it so that she's a little bit safer. Probably like a D+. I wouldn't start this really high. It's kind of going to be a vanilla a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think if you're money drafting or trying to get something for your other decks, this is good, but in the draft format, I don't think it's going to be great.
Not great.
Heavenly Blade Master, 5 and a white for a 3/6, flying double strike. When it enters the battlefield, you may attach any number of auras and equipment you control to it. Other creatures you control get +1/+1 for each aura and equipment attached to it. I think that this is like starting to come together. This, because you're cheating the payoff cost of like
all the equips.
Yeah, but also I'm not sure if that's a deck with a ton of support, without it, because without those, again, they're sitting dead.
Yeah, we get to balance out the bad equipment by auto equipping all of them, and then giving our other creatures bonuses when it's equipped. I think this feels like a B. It's kind of like a 6/6 flyer, and if you pump it at all, it starts to get really scary.
I mean, build around.
Yeah, maybe a build around B.
Yeah, I'd say build around B, because I'm not sure if I'd play this anywhere else.
Otherwise, it's like a C. It's just a 3/6 double strike, which is basically a 6/6 flyer.
Yeah, I'm not mad at the double strike, especially if you are equipping it, but I think this is definitely a build around
Could
card.
go in the counters deck too, depending. But this next one is going to be brutal. I don't know how you're going to beat this one. It's Heliod Suncrowned, 2 and a white for a 5/5 indestructible legendary enchantment creature god. As long as your devotion to white is less than 5, he's not a creature. Whenever you gain life, you put a counter on a creature or enchantment you control, and the payoff is right here. Don't worry. We have a way to give lifelink. 1 and a white, another target creature gains lifelink until end of turn. So this just... you play it on turn 3 because it's your commander, because it's legendary, and then it never dies because it can't. It's not even a creature half the time. And you just give all your creatures lifelink. Whenever you randomly gain life, throw Campfire in your deck for this. It just starts getting silly.
I think that this is going to be really, really strong. People are going to struggle to get it off the board. And I think that if you get this really early, you should try and build your deck around it.
Life gain, you don't even have to do anything. Like, what do you need? You just need
a little mana.
Creatures like land, put lands in your deck. This card's going to be really hard to beat. Life totals matter a lot in these clunky 4-player games, and you're just going to always have an extra 5-6 life if you want to throw a creature at somebody.
Yeah, I think this is really, really good. Take it highly.
I think it's like an A-. It seems like one of the best commanders in the set.
I think A- is good. Jazzle Goldmane, 2 white for a 4/4 first strike that says if you pay 3 white, attacking creatures you control get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of attacking creatures. So it wants to go wide. But also, I feel like it's just, if you don't have a big board, it's just 4/4 first strike, and that's not what I want stapled onto a commander. I'd want more.
I don't know. This card looks great to me. This is a slow board stally format. If you let the board get clogged and you start playing creatures and tokens and making some flyers or whatever, you send 4 creatures in. Now you can just pay 5 to pump them +4/+4, and it's repeatable. If you have 10 mana lying around, your dudes are unstoppable, and you're going to be smashing face. Yeah,
this is definitely good in the slower format. I would want something else with it, though. I think,
You're greedy. What do you want, a draw card?
No, I meant like partnering it with another commander, like one of the green commanders.
Well, he actually has partner in this set.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I think it's good with the partner.
What would you give it?
B-, C+.
I'll give it a B, so we're close. Land tax is white for an enchantment. I don't know how to grade this one. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control less lands than an opponent, you can search your library for 3 basic lands, put them in your hand, and then shuffle. I think I like this. It seems like it's going to end up being super mega deck thinning after a while. It's not going to, blow the game open in your favor, and it's probably not even that high of a pick power-wise. Where are you at?
I think it's really nice that it says you can search for up to 3 lands. So if you're running a little bit low on cards, you don't have to grab those. But if you're running like Marchesa or something, you can get the colors that you need. And
it does fix.
Yeah, and just for 1 white, that's a great turn 1 play. I'd be happy to play that turn 1.
Yeah, seems fine. Probably, what do you want, like a B-?
Yeah,
effective?
I was going to say C+, B-.
Yeah, it's not going to blow the roof off anything.
Loyal Retainers, 2 and a white for a 1/1 that says if you sacrifice it, return target legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only during your turn before attackers are declared. I think that if you toss your commander in there, that's going to be really nice. I think that I think it depends on really your deck in general, because if your commander is one of the only legendaries in there, then it might get a little rough. But if you're cramming your deck full of legendary creatures and you have a lot of targets for this, I think it could be a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Where would you grade it?
Jeez. I still think it would be like a C.
I'd probably say C+. It's got some potential, but it's a do-nothing if you don't reanimate. So to me, it looks more like a sorcery. I'm just like reanimated legendary creature, which is okay. That doesn't feel that great. Then Garth the Diplomat, 3 and a white for a 2/4 lifelink. Whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of them are attacking you or a planeswalker you control, draw a card. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, draw a card. This card's amazing. It requires nothing. You can just play it in any white deck and be super happy with it and just get cards over the course of the game as it goes on. And he's not exactly a lightning rod. People are just going to go, oh, that's kind of annoying, and then focus on real threats.
As we talked about before, it's hard to get card draw in this set, so I think those are just amazing ways to get it. Plus, the lifelink is gonna matter.
Sure. I mean, it's better than not having it. I'd probably give him a B+.
Yeah, B+ is good. Plus, the fact that he has 4 toughness, he's gonna be a good blocker.
It's a chunky blocker in the early game.
Nahiri, the Lithomancer, 3 white for a planeswalker that comes in with 3 loyalty. Her +2 is create a 1/1 white core soldier creature token. You may attach an equipment you control to it. -2, you may put an equipment card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield. -10, create a colorless equipment artifact token named Stoneforge Blade as indestructible. Equipped creature gets +5/+5 and has double strike, and equip 0, and it can be your commander.
Really weird set of abilities. This is probably another card that I would take for the equipment deck and maybe lean into it a little bit more. This seems like a higher power card, making blockers, auto-equipping equipments, even getting them back from their graveyard if they die. Seems okay.
Yeah, I like the fact that it gets things back from your graveyard because I think that some equipment are just going to be more, like we were talking about Fiend Lash a little bit.
Yeah.
Like
Ugh.
that gets scary.
That's a good equipment.
Yeah, and we're going to want to bring that back in sorts. Would you play this as your commander though?
I mean, I would. It's better than some of the ones we've seen. It's better than some of the uncommons. It will be attacked though, so it's not going to stick on the board as long as like Kemba Ka Regent. But it's got some high upside. I'd probably give it like a C+.
Yeah, C+, C.
Yeah. Odric, though. Odric's going to be pretty good. He's Master Tactician. He's 2 white for a 3/4 first strike. When he and at least 3 other creatures attack, you choose which creatures block this combat and how those creatures block. So if Odric and his 3 other creatures are attacking, if you attack with 4 things, you can decide to have nothing block and have your damage be completely unblocked and kill somebody. Or if they have, a couple of little dorks and like their commander out, it's a 3/3, you just run them all into your dudes and they all die, and that person goes, how am I supposed to ever win?
I really love this as a commander, especially in the command zone, you just repeatedly do it. It's going to be the must kill, especially if you have those 3 other creatures on the board immediately. But, the fact that it keeps coming back and just chipping in all that damage or just killing all their little like weenie guys, like I love this.
I love it too. You can mix and match who you attack and just mess everybody up. I don't know if it's an A- or a B+. I maybe want to say B+ to start.
Yeah, I say B+, but if someone said A-, I could definitely see it.
Yeah, Odric's going to be a must kill every time.
Pure Steel Paladin for 2 white for a 2/2 that says whenever an equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. Equipments you control have equip 0 as long as you control 3 or more artifacts.
Okay, finally, here we're getting to those rares we thought about of like, how do we salvage the equipment deck? Make them all cantrip. And like this wombo combos with Brass Knuckles because you get a copy of it and you draw another card.
Yeah, I like the payoff for this because its card draw is so tough, and I like the fact that it's equip 0.
It does everything we want. We're like, oh, these equip costs are too high. And Pure Steel Paladin's like, I got you.
Yeah, I think that I would play a bunch of these in the equipment deck. I think it's a build around B.
Build around
B+.
B+. It just seems rock solid. Righteous Confluence, 3 white for a sorcery. Choose 3. You can choose the same mode more than once. Create a 2/2 white knight with vigilance, exile an enchantment, or gain 5 life. Gain 5 life is nice to have in an emergency. If you're low on life, this could get you back in the game in a way that some cards can't. So I'm always going to start this because in the worst case scenario, 5 mana for 6 power, 3 2/2s, and maybe you'll exile an enchantment like an Intangible Virtue or something that's giving you a headache. I think it's a good card. It's just not something I'm going to need to first pick.
Yeah, I'm not picking this super highly, but if I need playables, I'm not that angry to have this in my deck because it is pretty versatile. And at 5 mana, that's not the worst.
Probably a C+.
Yeah, C+.
It's like on the better end of like filler.
A Safara Skyblade, 4 white for a 7/7. You can pay white and tap 4 untapped creatures you control with flying rather than pay for the spell's mana cost. Flying, lifelink. Other creatures you control with flying have indestructible. I've seen this in the cube and it goes crazy.
Our Commander Cube.
Yeah, and I've seen it paired with like commanders that make little Thopters, so immediately you can get her a lot faster than normal, and I really like her.
Yes, there is one card that I'm thinking of that is an absolute savage wombo combo. Do you maybe know what common is just like goes off the charts with this?
Is it the one that makes Thopters every time you?
It's Battle Screech, which is 2/1/1 flyers, flashback, tap 3 untapped creatures.
Oh,
so you cast it twice right away on turn 4. You get 4 flyers, and then next turn you just cast Safara, and they're all indestructible. And you spent 1 mana, and you can hold up protection if you're really worried about it, Fierce Guardianship, Shelter, if you need that kind of thing. Bigger commanders make me want to play those cards more. It can be nasty. I want to take every Battle Screech ever. Take that over everything if you're playing this deck.
I think there's a lot of support for this deck too because we've seen so many little flyer tokens or creatures with flying, and just giving them all indestructible too. I think that this is doable to cast it for that white and then tapping 4 creatures with flying. I think that's incredibly doable in this set.
And it's a 7 mana 7/7. It still is castable, and it's got lifelink. So if this thing hits, you're in trouble.
I think it's a B+.
I'd say build around B+. If you play it just randomly because you have nothing better to play, it'll probably play more like a C+.
Yeah, but like if you get those tokens, oh my god, this is going to be amazing.
I need to Battle Screech into this. I have to do it now. Savine's Reclamation, 2 white for a sorcery. Return a permanent with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. But if it was cast from a graveyard, you can copy it, and it's flashback for 4 and a white. I love this card in regular Commander. I don't think it's going to translate nearly as well into this format, sadly. I think it's going to play more like a C. You're not going to have a ton of permanents in your graveyard in white. Maybe if you draft a bunch of Terramorphics, but it's really not crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the targets that I'd want to target with this, and I'm not coming up with a ton.
Maybe a white-black deck can use this more when you're milling and sacrificing things. I think it's a C.
Yeah, C, maybe C minus depending on your deck.
I'll play it.
Yeah, I can't tell if I'd take it, honestly. Smothering Tithe, 3 and a white. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player may pay 2. If the player doesn't, you create a treasure token. This is amazing. You're going to draw bare minimum 1 card per turn for each opponent, and then you're getting treasures? This is a must-answer threat.
It's just going to ramp you into the moon. I mean, Smothering Tithe, A minus?
A minus.
Yeah.
I even A maybe? Like, this...
Yeah, it's not like, it doesn't really affect the board aside from mana, but it lets you always deploy creatures and stay ahead on mana.
I mean, I'm going to put this in any deck that has white.
You never sideboard this card. Never, always mainboard it. Always play it in your deck. It's going to be great. Steel Shaper's Gift, white for a sorcery. Search your library for an equipment and put it into your hand, then shuffle. There's so many equipment rares. Where are the +1/+1 counter rares? They're just all equipment rares. This is obviously a build around. I think it's a build around B. Kind of depends on what's in your deck, but if you take some banger equipment, like Hammer of Nazan we'll get to later, that's like a must-have. This is really going to shore up the deck's weaknesses.
I think the tutors in the set really bring this set up in the power level, and this is definitely one of them. Build around, definitely, but build around high power.
Yep.
Sublime Exhaustion, 6 and a white that says Undaunted. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each opponent and just destroy all creatures. So since you're gonna have 3, it's just gonna be 3 and a white to wipe the entire board.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's a great rate. I would take this super highly. I think this is B+.
I give it an A minus. This is straight up, no questions asked, blow everything up. It's going to be great. I don't think you really want to pass this card if you know you're in white.
Yeah, I mean, we need our board wipes. This is a great rate for it.
Unconditional. Just blow everything up. And it only costs 4 mana most of the time. Awakening Sun's Avatar, kind of a board wipe, but we'll see. 5 white for a 7/7 ETB. If you cast it from your hand, destroy all non-dinosaur creatures. So if you can cast this pretty huge blowout, you get to keep a 7/7, and everyone, most likely, everything else is dead. There's not very many dinosaurs in this set. Nothing to worry about. This is going to be a one-sided wipe. So if you can spend the first turns dirtling around, playing very few things, ramping into this, you can get a huge blowout.
Yeah, I've seen a couple dinos that we're going to get to later in green. That could be really good. So if you have the right board for this, you can have so much power on the board, maybe like 14, 21 even.
Yeah, this I would give more closer to like a B+. It's a little expensive, so you can't always get out of the sticky situations when you're super far behind or if things go bad for you early. B+ is pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say B+ is good. Wrath of God, 2 white, destroy all creatures.
That's in here too?
They can't be regenerated. If you gave the other one an A-, this has to get like an A-.
A-, this is the same card.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what else to say. Board wipes are amazing. We said everything with Sublime Exhalation. And let's go to the big daddy of the set. 1-800, what is it?
Are you flapping?
Are you flapping? Zatalpa, Primal Dawn, 6 white for a 4/8 flying, double strike, vigilance, trample, and indestructible. Just a big dumb idiot here to, I guess, be played. It's so expensive, and it's not even that great. It's just a big thing. At least it is trample. I would give Zatalpa like a C. I'm just so sick of seeing this reprinted.
Wizards loves their keyword soup, especially printed in the precons and here too.
You're not fooling me. You just cut the power in half and then gave it double strike. That's not impressive.
It's fine.
It is so fine. We're going to move on to the blue cards.
Aminatu's Augury for 6 blue. Exile the top 8 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield. Until end of turn, for each non-land card type, you may cast a spell of that type from among the exiled cards without paying its mana cost. I know you love this card.
Diversify your types, and this card's going to be amazing. The only caveat is sometimes, this isn't even really enough to mention, but sometimes note that it exiles the cards and you don't get to put them on the bottom. So if you're close to milling, you can't cast this card.
Yeah, I was going to say, the only thing I worry about is 8 is a good chunk of a 60-card deck.
Yeah, but most of the time you'll be fine. You're just going to cast a 5-drop creature, a draw spell, and then a sorcery and an artifact, and you're going to feel great.
Yeah, I would definitely take this. I'm not sure how highly, but I think it would be B-.
B or, let's just say, I'll say B.
Okay.
I was going to say B+, so we'll just even it out at B. Azami Native Scrolls, 2 blue for a 0/2. It's a wizard. Tap an untapped wizard you control, draw a card. The only thing to note about this ability is it does not require summoning sickness or haste or whatever. She can just tap the turn she comes out because it doesn't say the tap symbol. We're just getting around the rule. But not a lot of wizards in the set. Little confused at this one, but it still is like a Phyrexian Arena. It draws you an extra card every turn. Kind of annoying.
Yeah, I haven't seen much wizard support in this. So I think that if you are really hurting for card draw, this is good. But I'm not sure if I'd put this in the command zone itself.
I'd have to try it. This one's a little weird. I might start it at C+, and we'll see how it is. There's not a lot to it.
Yeah. I mean, drawing cards is nice, but also I'm I think I'd rather have something else there.
Yeah. Next is our preview card, or one of them anyway.
Yeah, Braids, Conjurer Adept. 2 blue for a 2/2 that says, at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player may put an artifact, creature, or land card from their hand onto the battlefield. In draft format, I don't think this is great considering we don't have the targets in this draft that we'd want to outpace our opponents with.
You need very specific cards to go along with Braids and to make that back-breaking ability more fair or more balanced in your favor. This is an F. Please don't play this. You will get demolished. It's a fun card, but it won't be fun for very long because you'll die.
Yeah, it'll be better in your constructed decks, but in your draft decks, I can't see it being played and having it go well.
Yeah, it's going to be rough for you. Bribery, 3 blue for a sorcery. Search target opponent's library for a creature and put it onto the battlefield under your control. Then that player shuffles. Somebody's best creature, everyone's going to have 6, 7s, and 8s in their decks, and you're going to kind of be able to know, especially if you passed some 8-drop and you're like, well, I think you took it. 2 people on my left. I'm going to go after your deck. And you get an Ulamog's Crusher or some kind of big rare. How is this not an A-?
Yeah, this is an A-. I would take this first pick.
Yeah,
if given.
Easy first pick. Well, there's not really going to be anything in the pack better than this.
5 mana too?
Yeah.
That's so good.
Just cheat mana and take someone's best thing.
Capture Jingzhou. 3 blue that just says take an extra turn after this one. I was surprised that they were printing 3 Kingdom stuff in here.
Those are just cards that need reprints, just like Imperial Seal needed it back then.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there any ways to loop this?
Well, it doesn't exile itself, and we have Shipwrecked Dowser, so there's ways to take extra turns. Eternal Witness is in this set also. There's ways to chain this. You're going to take it really, really highly. I think it's an A- again, because extra turns are just busted, and it doesn't really even matter if you do that much. You just get to stack up at this advantage, and it's a free roll.
Yeah, the extra turns, especially when you have 3 other players, that's an insane jump.
Yeah, you just get so much extra tempo. You really should take this highly. It's very, very good.
Yeah.
Next is Commandeer. I don't know how to feel about this one. 5 blue for an instant. You can exile 2 blue cards from your hand to cast it for free, and you gain control of a non-creature spell. You can choose new targets for it. If it's an artifact, creature, or planeswalker, the permanent enters the battlefield under your control. Big swing. Casting it for 7, though, not really something that's doable. And if you have a lot of card draw, maybe you'll get the free mode. But you can steal somebody's overrun or something and stop them from winning, or just some giant enchantment that you get to take for yourself. I'm going to play this card in my deck, but I don't know how good it's going to be.
I think that it really depends on the composition of your deck too, because if you're doing partner commanders and you pick 2 mono blue and you have so many blue cards that this is feasible to cast with just the alternate cost, I think it'll be great. But if you are running 3 colors and you put this in, it's going to be tougher to cast, and I don't want to pay that 7 mana.
Yeah, there's other counterspells. Counterspells are common. We have ways to interact on the stack. I'd probably start this at C+.
Yeah.
And just I wouldn't go too hard on it, but I would start it in my deck and try to get some value out of it.
I think C+ is good, but I'm willing to downshift it if I see it not being played that well.
Well, I think we're going to give our new highest grade.
Cyclonic Rift, 1 in a blue that says return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand, or you can overload it and return all the non-land permanents that you don't control to their owner's hand. You have to take this if you find it if you're in blue, because this is just the biggest tempo swing. It's basically just everyone else just has to replay their stuff, and you just get that turn to keep going whatever you're doing.
And your creatures can't be blocked because there's nothing to oppose you. This is just an A+. There's nothing this card doesn't do. If you're really under the gun and you have to use it as an emergency, someone's Teamer Battle Raging you, bounce their creature for 2, great. You're surviving. And you're ahead, or you get to pass with mana and the board's really clogged. Everyone wastes time building up their board, and you just go reset, hit somebody for a bunch, maybe take somebody out, and just be completely dominating. Plus, we talked about there's Shipwrecked Dowser, Eternal Witness. There's ways to get this back. Good God.
Yeah, it's the ultimate get out of jail free card.
It's got to be one of the best cards in the set. I'm going to say, tentatively, top 10 cards in the set.
Oh, I can almost guarantee that.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to dethrone that. Sheesh. Let's cool down with a bad card. Day's Undoing, 2 in a blue for a sorcery. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into their library, then draws 7 cards. If it's your turn, it will be. End of the turn. I don't like wheels, so if this was just a wheel, I would say don't really play it. It's really risky, and you give your opponents a ton more cards than you get. The game just spirals out of your control. I'd much rather play card draw and keep myself above my opponents, and this doesn't even let you do anything. No, end the turn. I would give this a straight up F, and I would say unless you're Nekusar or something, just please avoid this.
I would not play this in any situation except Nekuzar.
Yeah, just don't even bother.
That's so many cards to give people.
Yeah,
F.
it's too bad.
Evacuation, 3 blue. Return all creatures to their owner's hands. It's kind of like a pseudo board wipe to an extent. And I think if you're not getting those cyclists and stuff, you should take it.
Card's great. I just give it an A- again. It's another board wipe effect. You get to control when to do this. You get to pass with all your mana up, let everybody build, and then make them look like fools.
A- is definitely. I mean, I think A- is good. I was gonna say B+, but all the board wipe type effects you need.
I think the unconditional ones hit the A range for me, and like the ones that are like, deal 4 damage to everything, or -4/-4, those are like the B+.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense because
they might even be A-. They're all just great. Board wipes are great. Fairy Artisans, 3 and a blue for a 2/2 flyer. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you get a token that's a copy of it, and then you exile all the other tokens made with it. So you only get the most recent creature, but you continuously get artifacts entering and leaving the battlefield and taking any ETBs that they might come with it. This card's amazing. It goes in any deck no matter what. Probably also a B+ or an A-.
There's so many good enter the battlefield type triggers, and I want to see them all in action, and you're going to do that with this card. I think
it just accrues a lot of value.
B+ I think is good.
Plus it gives you chump blockers for days. It really provides a lot of like unseen advantage. People are going to get buried by this.
Yeah, I want to see it in action. Here's another nutty blue rare. Fierce Guardianship, 2 and a blue, but if you control your commander, you can cast it without paying its mana cost. Counter target non-creature spell. Free counter spell? That's amazing.
Yeah, B+. It's just kind of like from out of nowhere, you blow them out, you stop their board wipe, you stop their overrun, you stop their win con.
I'd even say A-. I think this is amazing. Just the free counter spell.
It is pretty good at any point in the game, and it costs nothing.
Yeah,
I can see that, yeah.
I'm super happy to get this.
All right, Lorthos the Tidemaker. Let's go to a big boy. He's chunky. 5 blue for an 8/8. When he attacks, you can pay 8. If you do, tap up to 8 target permanents, and they don't untap during their controller's next untap steps. In a 1v1 situation, this card's basically unbeatable because you ice down all their lands, and then they can't do anything. 4 players, though, is where we're at. So much mana. Ugh, I just feel like this is such a risk. You're really just crossing your fingers, and there's so many spells that can take this out at common or uncommon. Dice removal isn't a valid argument not to ever play something, but you don't get anything for a long time.
I like the flavor of 8/8/8, but I think 8 mana is just such a big investment that I wouldn't play this, like, unless I definitely had like counterspell backup immediately.
Feels like replacement level chonker. Your deck wants some top end cards, but this seems like a C-. There's better stuff.
There's definitely not the Sphinx we were talking about last video.
Not Goliath Sphinx. Better than that.
But mine's a glow. Someone really cool previewed that card.
Yeah, this was a really cool preview.
1 blue mana. Join forces. Starting with you, each player may pay any amount of mana. Each player draws X cards, where X is the total amount of mana paid this way. I don't think this is good.
Nothing against you, mine's a glow, but this is an F. It's another group hug card that if you're trying to win the game has no business in any deck.
You're giving your opponents way more than you're getting yourself. It's just so bad in your favor.
It's as bad as it is fun. So it's really goofy and it'll make some fun plays, but it's just a terrible card for commanders. F. Mystic Confluence is not terrible. 3 blue for an instant, choose 3. It's the same thing. You can choose repeat modes. Counterspell unless its controller plays 3. Bounce a creature or draw a card. Just mix and match. You can hold this up and know with certainty that you're going to get to cast it and not waste your mana. If nobody casts anything good, draw 3 cards. If somebody casts something good, boom, counterspell, and then figure out if you want to draw or bounce draw. Is just going to be great.
Usually I think holding up 5 mana is really rough, but I think for this, bare minimum, drawing 3 cards for 5 mana is amazing. I really like this, honestly.
Yeah, I would probably give it a B+. You're going to play this all the time. Blue Rare is looking pretty spicy.
Yeah, B+ is good. Personal Tutor for 1 blue mana. Search your library for a sorcery card, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top at sorcery speed.
Yeah, this one I like less. This is put you down a card. I think it's a build around B or build around B+. If you have a board wipe that's a sorcery, then you can play this card. Otherwise, I think I might not even bother.
Yeah, I don't think it's really that good. I mean, if you're trying to find that extra turn spell, I guess.
Right, so if you have a busted sorcery, feel free. But if you just have a medium deck, don't bother.
Yeah, it seems like one of those things where if I might have it as a sideboard, but we don't have sideboard, so I wouldn't probably play it.
Yep. Sai, Master Thopters. 2 and a blue for a 1/4. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you get a 1/1 Thopter with flying, which is already great, but you can pay 1 and a blue and sacrifice 2 artifacts to draw a card. Big payoff for the artifact deck. It's kind of like a blue-white style. I'm super stoked this has partner. You get to play another commander with this, and he's just an engine that fuels himself as long as you put 20 artifacts in your deck.
Yeah, I love the fact that it's just artifacts, not artifact creatures or anything. So if you find yourself with treasures or something, you can use those instead.
I think definitely a build around because he's useless without artifacts. So B+ build around.
Yeah, he's a really good build around, but you can't just slot him into any
Yeah.
blue deck. Spellseeker, 2 and a blue for a 1/1 that says, when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an instant or sorcery card with mana value 2 or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle.
I don't know how to feel.
I mean, I guess you could go get Psych Rift.
In the Magical Christmas Land, yeah, you can do that.
But other than that, I'm not sure what my targets are, and I don't think I'd play this unless I had very specific targets.
Yeah, like a 3-mana 1/1 that tutors up a Resculpt or a Counterspell. Like, is that... How great is that? I don't know. I don't think that's very good. It feels like a C, where like I think I'll play this card, but I'm not. It's not on par with any of the other rares that we were like, oh, B-, B+, A+.
I think maybe even C- because it's 2 mana or less. So if I tap out for something, I can't even get like the Fierce Guardianship and just like keep it up.
It's true. I don't like it. I don't like it very much. Stitcher, you're off. 3 blue for a 3/4. This card's interesting because in 60-card formats with really slow games, this ability might matter. 2 and a blue, each player mills 3 cards. Exile up to 2 creature cards milled this way. Put an XX blue zombie creature token where X is the total power of the cards exile this way. So you get like a big, dumb vanilla blocker, but the mill? I don't know. That might be a late game strat. This was a commander in our commander cube which had the exact same rules as this one, and we cut it because it milled so many players out.
Yeah, I think the exile out of the graveyard is pretty nice too, though, especially with those graveyard strats that some people are using.
It balances out giving your opponents resources by milling them.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how I feel. I mean, the big dumb creature is nice, but milling people out, I mean, that's kind of juicy.
You can mill, like if you mill 12 cards, people are going to die.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think it's a C+. It's expensive, and you still have to wait for the ability, and you're definitely not going to mill everybody out every time. So it's just like an above-average commander, just a little bit.
Storm Surge Kraken, 3 blue for a 5/5 hexproof that says as long as you control your commander, it gets +2/+2, and whenever it becomes blocked, you may draw 2 cards.
Hexproof, eh?
Yeah. And with a 7/7 coming your way, I mean, people are going to block it. You know, there's no trample and stuff. But the drawing 2 cards, I think that I would struggle to pick whether to give someone 2 cards or to take 7, depending on what part of the game I was in, you know?
And even in the late game, if somebody has an onboard trade or an onboard eat of this thing, I can cash it in for 2 cards knowing they're going to block. Seems like a really solid card all around. It's not even expensive to cast. It's only 5.
Yeah.
Just seems great, like a B+. So
Yeah.
totally solid.
It's part of the Great Lieutenant cycle again.
Yeah, still might not be better than the other one. Sun Quan, Lord of Wu, 4 blue for a 4/4. Creatures you control have horsemanship, which is equivalent to creatures you control are unblockable. That's really strong. The only thing is, be careful if your opponents are holding up mana, because if this is your commander, it's very face up. And if you attack all your creatures into somebody and they instant speed kill this guy, it's going to look real bad for you after the turn's over and you have no creatures left.
Yeah, I think this could get really dicey. I'm not sure if I'd put this in my command zone, or at least I don't think I'd bank on that being the end-all be-all.
It's going to be really good. It's an undeniably strong card. There's just some weird like sub-games with this as face-up. But if it's in your 58, your 99, probably just a B. Solid.
Yeah, I'd definitely put this in the 58.
Totally solid card.
Talrand, Sky Summoner, 2 blue for a 2/2 that says, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 2/2 blue Drake creature token with flying. Hey, Wizards, stop printing this in our premium sets.
They won't. They love Talrand.
But I actually have played Talrand with Sephara, and it gets nasty so quickly. It's such a fun deck.
That is a neat little one. You play all the little cantrips, and then you just make 2/2 Drakes, and you power them out indestructible. That's a neat little pairing. I hope to do that. But Talrand is probably build around B. You need a bunch of spells to make him worth it because he's a 4-mana 2/2. He's a terrible stat. He's basically a do-nothing.
Yeah, if you only have a couple counter spells or something, definitely don't make him your commander. But if you're building around, I think B's good because you can get so many flyers and just chip in for a lot of damage at that point.
Yeah, there's nasty decks to make with like 3 counter spells and a Talrand in the command zone. Like that could be dirty. Teferi, Temporal Archmage, 4 blue for a 5 loyalty Teferi. +1. Look at the top 2, 1 in hand, 1 on the graveyard. On the bottom of your library, -1, untap 4 permanents, -10. You can activate Planeswalker abilities on anybody's turn at instant speed. That is almost blank. What Teferi kind of does is untap 4 permanents over and over, where you can just kind of like get a lot of mana advantage. The first turn he'll probably plus if you can't double spell, but he's easy to attack. He doesn't protect himself at all unless you're powering out a blocker with the -1.
I can see it, like, it can be your commander, but I don't want it to be my commander. That seems like one of the things where I'm going to minus to untap 4 lands once or maybe even twice, but I don't see him surviving a turn cycle.
Twice I like, but it's just so expensive up front. The 6 mana, you're not getting your mana's worth until it's the second or third turn you have him, and he's a Planeswalker. He's going to be a target. There's lots of flyers in this set. I feel like he's just a C.
Yeah, C. I think maybe even C minus just because it's like so hard to protect him.
Yeah, he's not great.
Torrential Gear Hulk, 4 blue for a 5/6 flash that says, when it enters the battlefield, you may cast target instant card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead.
Surprise.
I think this is more of a build around card because if you have a lot of those instants in your graveyard, I think this could be amazing. But if you don't, then I'm not sure if I'd really put this in my deck.
Yeah, if you're going to be like Mystic Confluencing, Counterspelling, Factor Fictioning with this, I'm so in. You do need to make sure you have at least 7 or 8 instants so you can have something in your graveyard to make this not just a 5/6 flash, nothing, no text.
I think it's a build around maybe B minus.
That feels like dead on. I wasn't sure what I was going to grade this, and you said that, and I was like, that is the perfect grade. Here's a banger. Urza, Lord High Artificer, 2 blue for a 1/4. ETB, you get a 0/0 card struck. The text of that is on the card. Tap an untapped artifact you control, add blue. 5, shuffle your library, exile a top card, and you can play it for free this turn. Oh my god, this card is obnoxious. It's super annoying. It's card draw, plus a big body, plus ramp. If you have artifact creature tokens, they can tap the turn they come out. Just completely backbreaking. This is an A.
Yeah, I think this is an A too. Being able to just do all of that on staple into one card, I'm really surprised at,
There's 30 abilities on this, and they're all great.
Yeah, I if you see this pack one, like pick one, take it immediately and just start building blue.
It's almost impossible that there's a better commander in the pack.
We're going to black now with Archfiend of Despair, 6 black for a flying 6/6. Your opponents can't gain life. At the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life that player lost this turn. I think this is going to end games very quickly, provided you can get it out with that 8 mana. Just double life loss and the fact that they can't gain life, that's the main way you're going to win through like combat damage.
And this is a reanimation target. Every big black creature can be reanimated for cheaper because black has mill and a bunch of reanimation at common and uncommon. So this looks like a really strong card. Is it a mythic or a rare?
It is a mythic.
Okay, so you're not going to see it all that often, which is honestly good because you'll have those turns where you're like, oh man, take 11, that was brutal, and then they go Archfiend, you're just like, can I quit?
Yeah, I love the fact that it triggers on everybody else's turn too. So if they start to attack other opponents, even if it's not your turn, they'll still double life loss at the end.
B+.
B+.
Blood Chief Ascension. This is going to be an annoying card. Black for an enchantment. At the beginning of each end step, if an opponent lost 2 or more life this turn, you put a quest counter on it. And if it has 3 quest counters, whenever an opponent puts a card in their graveyard from anywhere, they lose 2 life and you gain 2 life. This is like the lowest investment you can have for a card. Combat damage is going to happen continuously. Enchantments are kind of sticky, and this is like going to be such a headache. This can win you the game, and it's 1 mana. And it doesn't ask you to ever put more mana in this. This card's great.
I would say A- for this because it's just so good. It asks nothing of you, and people are just going to lose 2 life just in general, just through little pings in combat, and so it's going to get there very quickly with those 3 quest counters.
This card is, A- is great. This is a really good one. I don't love it in regular Commander as much, but this is going to be an easy threat. Set it and forget it.
Yeah, in a War of Attrition like this one, it's going to do work, provided it survives. Channer, Dementia Master, 3 black for a 3/3 that says all nightmares get +1/+1. And if you pay black and also 3 life, you could put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. The creature is black and is a nightmare in addition to its other types. When it leaves the battlefield, exile all nightmares. I mean, this is working towards, the mill and then reanimation deck.
Huge mana sink.
Yeah, 3 black plus pay 3 life. I mean, that's low investment, and you could get some of those crazy reanimation targets like Archfiend of Despair back.
You get the ETBs. Chainer is going to be a lightning rod because he's tied. He controls all these nightmares. When he goes away, they all go away, which is kind of flavorful. It's just really high ceiling. And the floor is not even that low. You have an investment of like a kind of a dorky creature, but as soon as you activate him once, I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I think this can get really scary, and I'd probably put this BB+.
I like BB+. Somewhere right in between there is good for me. Curtain's Call, 5 and a black, instant. Costs 1 less for each opponent you have, so this is really 2 and a black. If you have 3 players, else it's destroy 2 target creatures. A. This is perfect spot removal. This takes out the 2 best threats. This puts you ahead almost every time. It feels so good to cast in regular Commander. It's going to be even better because the creatures are, the games are slower, and it's just going to be more solid.
Plus, creatures are the main way you win with, combat damage. So you're going to want to take out those targets. And 2 for 1
It helps
for
you
that rate?
Yeah, spot removal puts you down cards, and it's not tenable, but this is going to help you stay ahead and keep the board in check.
I would take as many of those as I could.
Oh my god, yes. I would love 4 in a deck.
I would also love 4 of the next card, Deadly Rollick, 3 and a black. If you control your commander, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. Exile target creature. Free exile, please give me more.
Better than Source to Plowshares, especially when there's 2 commanders in like everyone's command zone. This card's fantastic. It's just one of the best removal spells you can have. A-. It really gets you out of a lot of situations. It's not even a card people see coming. It's just going to blow people out. Okay, the birthday girl's back to join us to grace us with her presence. I hope you're having a great birthday, Amber. She's getting chin scratches, so it's probably pretty good. Let's go to Decree of Pain, 6 black for sorcery. Destroy all creatures. Draw a card for each one destroyed this way, and they can't be regenerated, but that's throwaway text. And you can cycle it for 3 black. Just give all creatures -2/-2 until end of turn, and draw a card. And that's not really putting a spell in the stack. It's just an ability, so it really can't be countered either.
I really like this because it's a way to draw all those cards. And plus, we need board wipes, as we said before. I think if you gave all the other board wipes like an A-, this might be an A.
This is an A. This is really, really good. It's good at any point. It shrinks little creatures if you're running, if you're like tight on mana and you really need to get rid of them. And if you're at parity, you just go draw like 12 and you're just dominating that game. Super sweet.
The next one is Demonic Tutor, or I call D-Toots sometimes. 1 in a black for search your library for a card. Put that card into your hand, then shuffle. I really would want to know what targets you have for it, but it's going to get whatever card you need, and it's great, slot into any deck.
I think this is just an A. When you make the Tutor unrestricted and you make it 2 mana and you go right to your hand, it's an A. There's enough cards in the set that you need access to, like you want removal, card draw, ramp, whatever, bombs. This gets it for you. It's just going to be the second copy of the best card in your deck at any given moment.
I think it's also the only unconditional tutor in this.
I think so. Let's just give it an A+. What are we even doing? It was
A+. A+ is great.
Card's amazing. You almost had me with the A. I was like, wait a minute. Demon Lord Belzenlock, 4 black for a 6/6 Flampler. ETB. Exile cards from the top of your library into exile a non-land card. Then put that card into your hand. If the card's mana value is 4 or greater, repeat the process and it deals 1 damage to you for each card put into your hand this way. This is a 6/6 body that draws you at least 1 card and has a lot of potential to draw you more. And this could be your commander. Great.
I would definitely put this in my command zone. It's better than a lot of the other commanders we've seen.
Seems like a B+ or maybe an A-. Just a giant creature that draws you cards. Sure.
Yeah, card draw in the command zone is always so amazing, and
he has an ETB, so you get your value right away, and then they kill it. You're like, okay, I'm not too sad. Play it again next turn.
I put in an A-.
Okay, I'll say B+.
Endrick Sar, Master Breeder, 4 and a black for a 2/2 that says whenever you cast a creature spell, create X 1/1 black thralled creature tokens, where X is that spell's mana value. When you control 7 or more thralls, sack him. I mean, you're going to flood the board with a bunch, but I think the fact that he sacrifices himself, so if you play one big creature, he's just going to go away.
Yeah, you really want to play these little dorks and sacrifice them continuously to keep Endrick Sar around. It's a little finicky. I'm not the biggest fan. I think he's a C+ probably. He's going to be doing okay in the Rakdos and the Golgari decks.
Yeah, I think it's more of a build around than anything else.
I think it's just going to be medium. Like, every deck can play this. It'll still make thralls. If you get 7 chump blockers, that's not even that bad.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be mad at the 7 chump blockers, but also I just think that the sacrifice effect...
Like, Black just kind of does that.
Yeah, I was just thinking about him as a commander and the fact that at some point he's going to be uncastable since he starts sacrificing himself.
He does. They start eating him, I think, is the flavor.
Wow. Gross.
It's gross. Yeah, he's breeding them and they're eating them. It's a C+. Golgari Gisa. This card's great. 3 black for a 3/4. 1 tap, sacrifice another creature. Get X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens, where X is the sacrifice creature's power. This sits in play kind of like a better version of Spike Shot Goblin from last episode. Please watch it after this. And it just poops out zombies and you just can't stop it. You need to get rid of her. And it also turns any spot removal against any other creature you control into, nope, I'll just sacrifice it, make 6 2/2s. Thanks for trying to kill my Demon Lord.
Yeah, it's a cheap sack outlet, and it's in the command zone too if you want. This is amazing for those sacrifice decks.
Seems like a B+. It's a must-answer card. It'll just generate enough value over the course of the game. You're like, we got to get rid of that Gisa.
I think B+ is good. It's dangerous. Grave Pact, 1 black for an enchantment that says, whenever a creature you control dies, each other player sacrifices a creature. This can get so oppressive so quickly.
I'm pretty sure this is an A+.
I think this is an A+ too, because especially in the sacrifice decks in general, but Even in normal decks,
Doesn't require much. There's enough just residual cards that make Eldrazi spawn and sacrifice a creature to do this, or deal 2 damage to all creatures and then the little ones die and then all their big stuff dies. It is brutal. Your opponents, if your deck is functioning, your opponents do not get to play Magic until this is gone.
and the fact that it stops people from like blocking your stuff in combat damage because if they kill your stuff, so they have to sack creatures, so you can chip in little bits of damage here and there. I think this is an amazing card. Yeah, A.
Never don't kill this card. I think it's an A+. If you play a lot of this set, I can almost guarantee some of the least fun games you'll have is when Great Pack is doing its thing. Imp's Mischief, 1 and a black for an instant. Change the target of target spell with a single target. You lose life equal to that spell's mana value. Weirdo black counter spell, but only for really specific things. This is a gotcha card. It's more of Mia's category. I would give this a D and not really play it.
I don't know. I'd give it a C+ because it doesn't go in every deck, but I do like.
Well, what deck does it go in? It's kind of just a generic effect, right?
Yeah. Then maybe I'd put it higher. Sorry, I thought you said one other thing. Don't worry about it.
It's a D for me.
No, I'd put it higher, maybe even a B, because it is more generic, and the fact that you can do stuff on the stack and you don't have to be in blue, I really like that, honestly.
All right, so balance out those 2 grades. One glowing and one not so glowing.
Yeah, maybe a C between us. Kindred Dominance, 5 black. Choose a creature type. Destroy all creatures that aren't of the chosen type. I don't think there's a lot of typal support in here, especially in black. What are you going to do? Pick Saprolings or something?
Actually, that is valid if you're the Saproling deck.
True, but I can't think of another type of creature that this would be really great for because there's not as many.
You don't like this card?
Maybe. What?
You don't like this card?
It's not that I don't like it, but I think 7 mana is really. I think it's a build around card. You know?
I think it's just kind of a trap, like that it looks like it cares about creature types. This is just 7 mana. Keep your best creature, destroy everything else.
Yeah, I guess when you think about it that way, that's good, but it's 7 mana, and that's still.
You pay a little bit of a premium, but like the dinosaur we talked about that was 8 mana for a 7/7 that kind of keeps itself around and blows everything else up. That was what, a B+ or something?
Yeah.
A-. I like this at A-.
I might put it a tiny bit lower just because of the mana investment, but I do see the value of it.
Yeah, it could be a B+ if there's some awkward type errors of like, oh, my opponents have 3 demons, and I wanted to pick demon. Guess you got to pick something else. Macias, the Unhallowed, 3 black for a 5/5. There's so many words on this. Intimidate, whenever a human deals damage to you, destroy it. Keep an eye out for that. Other non-human creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Undying. So when they die, they come back with a +1/+1 counter if they didn't have a +1/+1 counter when they died.
I think this is so easy to just cram your deck with non-humans because most of the creatures in the set are non-humans, and then just giving them Undying and extra stats, I really like that.
Yeah, this card's going to be great. It's really, really threatening in regular Commander. It's going to be really, really threatening in this. It's going to be a bomb, must-answer threat. You can start sacrificing all your creatures. Ashnod's Altar is an uncommon. You just fire that off. Oh my god, you're like off to the races. Going to be really good. I love Macias. Is it just like an A? Like it's just a level of like dominates the game?
I think it's A because you can put it in so many. You could use it as a commander and then just build like a really good sack deck.
And then like some creatures can't hit you now because if they're humans, they die. It's a nice little. I mean, human is the most popular creature type in Magic by a lot.
Yeah, I'm not sure in this set, but in general, I really like this card. Honestly,
really, really good.
Obnixilis of the Black Oath, 3 black for a planeswalker that says. For +2, each opponent loses 1 life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. -2, create a 5/5 black demon creature token with flying. You lose 2 life. Or -8, you get an emblem with 1 and a black, sacrifice a creature. You gain X life and draw X cards, where X is a sacrificed creature's power. It starts at 3 loyalty, so I don't really see myself getting that -8.
Yeah, cool emblem, bro. How am I supposed to get there when I'm extorting as a +1? That +1 is so weak.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And the -2 puts him at 1.
Yeah, he could be your commander, but I would not put him as my commander.
This is like that uncommon, the priest, where it's a 5 mana 2/2 makes a demon and then on your upkeep you lose 2. Where it's basically this is just a 5 mana 5/5 flyer.
Yeah, I'm not excited to play this because the life is so little. You're not getting the emblem.
It's attackable. And
then just 5 mana for the 5/5 and then lose 2 life. Like I don't know. It's not a great rate.
No, I mean in an ideal situation you're gonna go +/- if he stays around forever. I give this card a D.
Yeah, D is good. I'm not big on planeswalkers to begin with.
Yeah, not stoked about it. Ogre Slumlord, 3 black for a 3/3. Didn't know this card was in the set until yesterday. Whenever another non-token creature dies, for anyone, you get a 1/1 black rat, and he gives rats death touch, so no one is going to be attacking you just ever. You're going to start leveraging removal spells and trading and sacrificing your own things, getting a nice board that is impenetrable until this guy goes away. Then you just have a board of chump blockers.
Yeah, this can get pretty scary, especially since it is every creature that dies that's non-token.
Seems like a B, right? Just
Yeah.
a card.
Yeah, I would put this in like pretty much any deck that runs black.
Yeah,
Like,
I
solidly.
definitely put it in any deck that runs black. Just a nice little B. You're happy to have it.
Yeah, Rankle, Master of Pranks, 2 black for a flying haste 3/3. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, choose any number. Each player discards a card, each player loses 1 life and draws a card, or each player sacrifices a creature.
Haste is the key word here.
Yeah, because you could just chip in immediately and then do one of those, and I think those effects can be very powerful. And you're going to pick, obviously, the ones that are best for you. And if you have a lot of disposable creatures, or you want to sack certain creatures, or if you want stuff in your graveyard, this is going to be great.
Oh, Rankle, I think might be a little bit unfun, but it's a really good card. This card in the command zone actually does the opposite of Sun Quan, where people know you're going to attack and connect on turn 4 with a 3/3 hasty flyer. So if they want to tap out for the 3-mana creature, they can't do it because you're just going to kill it and invalidate their entire turn. So it leads to them not playing creatures, which means Rankle's getting you value without even being cast.
Yeah, and the fact that if you really do need that card, I guess you could do it, but you're going to do the sack a creature, and you're going to do the discard a card, and everyone else is going to hate you for it.
Yeah, discard a flashback card, and you're just going to really start denying resources. Rankle's really good.
B+?
I don't know, maybe an A-. Rankle just seems like a rock star.
I want to see it, but at bare minimum B+.
Yeah,
for
I'll
me.
start it at B+, but there's potential there. Here's just the biggest, chunkiest boy. Razaketh the Foul-Blooded. 8 mana, 8/8, Flampler, pay 2 life, sacrifice a creature, Demonic Tutor. Go get any card from your deck. You don't need too many tutors to win the game, and I think that since that ability's free, and this can be your commander, jam this all day, right? What are they going to do? How do they stop you?
Free Demonic Tutor all day, every day. And the fact that in the sacrifice decks, it's just, you just have to pay 2 life to sacrifice the creatures that you want. That's amazing. No mana investment, no tapping. Please.
Yeah, if someone tries to fire off a board wipe, turn your entire board into the best cards in your deck. Somebody goes to spot remove Razaketh, sack 2 dudes, and now you've drawn 2 of the best cards in your deck, and you're going to deploy those next turn, and they're going to have to deal with that. Or if Razaketh dies, just go tutor a reanimation spell first, and then victimize and go, whoops.
Plus 8/8 in the air. That's,
Huge.
I mean, 3 hits if he's your commander, and they're dead.
Yeah, I like this better than Avacyn, I think.
Yeah, so maybe A-.
Maybe an A-. Razaketh, I don't know what it doesn't do. It just seems great.
He's powerful.
Yeah, card advantage, and it's just a big body.
Runescarred Demon, 5 black for a 6/6 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, it's another Demonic Tutor. Just go search for your library for a card, put it in your hand, then shuffle.
It's funny you were like, Demonic Tutor is the only free tutor, but we didn't know that there was a bunch of other ones.
Whoops. I think just the tutors themselves are making the set so high-powered.
You're going to consistently have access to your best cards. And that was probably on purpose on Wizards' part, but this just seems like a B+ to me. It's just a giant body that is now your best card.
It's going to be a great top end unless you have something that's more specific to your deck, but this can slot into any black top end.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why, but there's a lot of demons in the set. Like, a lot. Like, we're talking about a lot of demons. There doesn't really seem to be any reason for it. They're just here. Let's go to Sower of Discord. It's a demon. It's a 6 mana, 6/6 flyer. Choose 2 players when it enters, and whenever damage is dealt to one of the chosen players, the other player also loses that much life. No downside for you.
Yeah, I think this is really a fun card because it's like, ooh, you're going to
Not
hit.
fun for them.
Yeah, but also it makes you a big target because I've definitely had games where I've played this card and people go, well, if we're going to lose life, then you're just the enemy and we got to kill you because player removal is the best removal at a certain
Sometimes you
point.
don't have the answer, and you got to just attack the player for it. It's a good blocker. It could cause some chaos. I think it's a good card. But note that it is only damage, so if you make Exsanguinate, you don't get any extra thing from this.
Loss of life and damage are different, so yeah, please keep that in mind.
Gotta be attackies or burnies.
Yeah, I'd say C+.
Yes, B-, just because the ceiling's so high. It could really demolish people, or it could just kind of sit there and be an okay flyer.
Yeah, I think that it's just putting that giant target on your head immediately is kind of crazy. Toxic Deluge, 2 and a black. As an initial cost to cast a spell, pay X life. All creatures get -X until end of turn. I love this.
Fantastic.
This is one of the best board wipes in the set. I love the fact that you can pay X amount of life and just get rid of everything that you don't want. If you have an 8/8 in on the board and then everything else is like +6 or something, then you just pay 6 life and then you keep your best thing. This is so good.
It's fantastic. It's probably an A+. There's no point in the game where this is bad unless you're at 2 life, which is very late into the game. You're not gonna just randomly be at 2 life on turn 3. So in the early game, this does what no other board wipe can do and wipes the board on like turn 3 or 4 or 5 and just kind of like guaranteed everything's gone. Mostly on turn 3 what I was talking about. But in the late game, this also does what no board wipe can do by letting you wipe the board and then just play the rest of your hand because you've got 6 mana on tap still. It doesn't cost 7 to wipe the board.
I mean, life is a resource. Wizards gave me 40 life, and I'm going to use almost all of it if I can.
Yes, I'm going to pay 6 life to kill everything and maybe leave my Ulamog's Crusher alive and just go ham.
I'm happy to make that trade. I think that, yeah, A+.
Yeah, this card is just like unbeatable in terms of board wipe efficiency. Twilight Prophet, 2 black for a 2/4 flyer. It's got Ascend, and at the beginning of your upkeep, if you've ascended, you reveal the top card of your library, put it in your hand, and each opponent loses life equal to its mana value. I love hating on this card for regular Commander, but in this slower, grindy format where you're going to get upkeeps with cards that have good abilities on them, because this is not a remove every threat all the time type game, this is good.
Yeah, I think that since this is a longer, drawn-out format, this is going to definitely chip in some damage here and there, and it's going to sustain you, too.
Yeah, chip damage matters. The nice residual life gain is cool to have. I don't think there's too many ways to set up the top card of your library, but it's just a fine card. Nice, chunky flying blocker. It'll hold back all the Thopters and something. I think it's a B+.
B+ is good. Vindictive Lich, 3 and a black for a 4/1 that says when it dies, choose one or more. Each mode must target a different player. Target opponent sacks a creature. Target opponent discards 2 cards, or target opponent loses 5 life. I think I like this honestly because you're just going to pick the 3 modes that are worst for everyone else, and for 4 mana for a 4/1 and. Everyone's just going to be a little bit afraid to attack to you because it's so easy to kill with 1 health.
Yeah, it dies to anything. I don't want to attack into this. It seems like a brick wall. It's going to be a little tricky to get through. It seems kind of like a B.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that's really going to stop that effect is going to be, your Path to Exiles. And then if you play it in like a victimized deck or, a Dread Return deck, you're just going to come back and do it again.
Yeah, you just start sacrificing it and getting it back. All right, here's like the most build-around-y build-around I've ever seen. Wake the Dead, X black for an instant. Cast it only during combat on an opponent's turn. Okay, whatever. Return X target creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. So you can only play on combat, so they'll die the same turn. But we want all the ETBs of every card in our graveyard. We can get Razaketh back. We can get Lotless Giant back and start pinging people. This card is just like so much upside, but only for the decks that are really heavy mill. You want to cast this like X5.
Yeah, it's a build-around card, but I want to see it in action because I think the upsides are just so exciting. I want to see someone just get their entire board back, and I just want to see all of those all at once, the triggers.
But like, oh, you're being attacked. Oops, here's all the blockers that I don't care about because they're going to die. Trade off with your team. This is a build-around A.
Yeah, build around definitely, but it's so high. A is definitely good.
Yeah, you might be able to just put it in any deck, but it would play more like a C if you don't try to build around it.
Yeah, because you might just get a couple things back.
You need all the mills. Mire Triton, the Grub, you got to mill hard.
Yeah. Wretched Confluence, 3 black for an instant that says choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. Target player draws a card and loses 1 life. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn, or return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Just like Mystic Confluence, I don't mind keeping this up because I think the worst mode is just like worst case scenario, you draw 3 cards and lose 3 life.
Yeah, again, it's just a great card. It's never dead. It's versatile. It is like the definition of versatility, honestly. And another bonus thing about this card that we got to keep in mind, this is one of the only cards I've seen that does this so far, aside from the reanimation spells. Shipwreck Dowser gets back an instant or sorcery. So if Shipwreck Dowser is dead, you can get it back with Wretched Confluence, play the Shipwreck Dowser, and then get this back and just kind of loop them until the cows come home.
Yeah, that can get pretty scary, but I think this is so versatile, and I would be happy to put this up B+.
B+. There's just nothing it doesn't do. It's just great. It's a little pricey, but you're going to get your money's worth. Let's go to red cards. We're on red cards now. Ashling the Pilgrim is here to destroy everyone's life. 1 and a red for a 1/1. Pay 1 and a red to put a counter on it. If it's the 3rd time this ability resolved this turn, remove all counters from it, and she deals that much damage to each creature and each player, which maybe kills her. If you stack up counters before that, in instances of 1 or 2, she can have, let's say, nope, she'll die.
She dies every time.
How about that math for you?
She dies every time, but it can get so scary. My friend has a deck like this, and he gives it lifelink, and you can just ping everything on the board in each player, and then you just gain all that back. And I'd love to see the counters lifelink deck with Ashling in this format.
Yeah, there's also a real potential to end the game in a draw, which I actually don't like. Because if everyone's at 7 and you activate Ashling for 9, everyone takes 9 and dies at the same time. which is weird. That's probably not going to happen too often. Just keep an eye out, I guess. This looks like a good card. It's a mana sink. It's a board wipe. People have to respect it, or you could just get to blow everything up.
Yeah, I don't know. I really like seeing this card in action.
Okay, I like B-.
Yeah, B- is good. Avatar of Slaughter, 6 red for an 8/8 that says all creatures have double strike and attack each combat if able. I don't like this.
I don't know about that.
Because all the creatures can attack you. It doesn't say go at each creature. It says they all have to attack, and they have to attack somewhere, and they all have double strike. And if I know on my play group, they're going to be attacking me.
But that's the other thing, too. If you pass to me, right, you just played Avatar of Slaughter. It's like, oh, God, holy crap, that thing's going to be really annoying. My other 2 players, after I pass the turn, have double strike. Unless I kill you with my newfound double strike, and then Avatar goes away, and I get to just completely benefit. I think this might be an F. I don't think there's a reason to play this card. It's so risky.
There's such a big target on your head for no reason at this point.
Yeah, I think it's an F. I just think you'd have way better things to do.
I don't want this card.
No, I wouldn't do it. Let's go instead to like Balefire Dragon, 7 mana 6/6 flyer. When it hits a player, deals that much damage to all their creatures. This will annihilate someone. This will take someone out of a game.
Board wipe on a body. I really like Balefire Dragon.
Could be tricky to sneak through. It has no evasion. You have to give it some. Trample is all around. Haunted Cloak is common. You can do it. This will annihilate people, so you need to take it because it's super high upside. It's a must-kill creature. A-.
A- is good. I would love to see this be cheated in from the graveyard too.
And this can get haste with some other Greaves type effects, and that's just dirty.
Duretti, Scrap Savant for 3 and a red. It comes in with 3 loyalty. +2, discard up to 2 cards and draw that many cards. -2, sack an artifact. If you do, return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield. -10, you get an emblem that says, whenever an artifact is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return that card to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step, and it can be your commander. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't like that he can't protect himself again. Even, like, he protects himself less than Ob Nixilis because there's not a creature unless you're going to trash for treasure for one, which isn't guaranteed. Don't love it. I love the Rummage. Like, in the late game, he starts to be really cool. It feels like a card I wouldn't play early, and then I'd play it later and be like, all right, time to Rummage, time to do a thing. I got a cool artifact, a Meteor Golem in my graveyard, and reanimate it. C+.
Yeah, I mean, I might even give it less at a C because I'm not excited to play this, and I don't want to put him as my commander. And I think just if you don't have those artifacts in your graveyard, then what are you doing? Just discarding up to 2 and drawing that many? Like,
is this like a red-black card where you want to mill the artifacts? And then, or I mean, I guess he could just discard them by himself. I'm unsure what to do with this. It's cool. I'm going to try it out, but I know it's not going to be that great. Deflecting Swat, 2 and a red, instant. If you control your commander, it's free. Change the target. Well, choose new targets for his target, spell, or ability. Pretty versatile card in terms of it hits more things than you think it would. Like, oh, this ability is going to destroy my things. Like, nope, over here. Oh, this thing's going to go, nope, over here. Pretty good for 3 mana. It's not as good as some of the other ones, but it's at least a B.
Yeah. The extra turn spell, doesn't that say target player?
I think the other one does. I think the capture just says take an extra turn.
Okay, because I was gonna say if it was target player, then you could actually target yourself if someone else tries to play, and that's amazing.
Yeah. Deep Analysis is target player, so you could target yourself with it. That's a pretty sick blowout.
I guess if I need those cards, or
well, you tap 4 mana, I tap 0, and I draw 2.
Yeah. I like Deflecting Swat a lot. I really like the fact that it's so reactive, and just if someone tries to kill your best thing, you can just go, no, you, and just point it back.
Mia is very insecure when she's not playing blue and needs to interact on the stack.
I don't think that's the worst thing in the world.
It's fine. I'll give it a B. I'm not hating on it.
I think B+ for me, but it's definitely good. It's a good card. Disrupt Decorum, 2 red. Goad all creatures you don't control. I don't usually like this in normal Commander because it feels like one of the cards that always gets cut from my deck, but in a combat-based meta, I think this is going to be really good. I think this can chip in a lot of damage at your opponents, and at that point, when all of your opponent's creatures are tapped, you could close out the game.
You can connect any free hits in the air or with evasion that you have without any worry of getting cracked back. And it's kind of like you just go, hey, everybody, deal with it. This board stall is about to get a whole lot less stalled. And then when you untap, most of your opponent's creatures are going to be tapped, and someone probably is going to die. I don't think it's like this busted card because there's board states where it's not that great. I think it's probably a B.
I was going to say B-, but
okay. I think there's
potential.
Yeah, definitely a high ceiling on that card. Divergent Transformations. I don't know how to feel about this. 6 in red for an instant Undaunted. Exile 2 target creatures. For each of those creatures, they polymorph into the next creature they find in their deck. So it's like removal, but at the cost of you don't even know what they're going to hit. Or since it's 2, you could get like a card advantage and target 2 tokens and see what you hit, but you don't know what you're going to hit. I think ultimately this is like a D.
Yeah, I think it's like very risky, and if you're doing your own stuff, maybe, because I do like to chaos warp my own stuff sometimes.
Definitely fun. I don't think it's that great. I think it's a D.
I think power-wise, though, it's very low on the scale.
Yeah.
Drakazeth, Maw of Flames, 4 red, red, red for a 7/7 flyer. When it attacks, it deals 4 damage to any target and 3 damage to each of up to 2 other targets. I mean, this is a mini board wipe on a 7/7 flyer.
Let it attack and you're going to win.
Yeah, I really like this. I think this can be the top end in any red deck. I think this is a B+. I think it's good.
Yeah, B+ sounds good. It's a must-answer threat. Like some of these cards, we're not hypocritical when we say, oh, I don't want to tap out for this thing that doesn't offer me much. This doesn't do anything right away, but the thing it does next turn is unbelievable.
Yeah, plus it's a chunky body too. So even though it doesn't do anything immediately, and even if you can't give it haste, it's a good blocker for that time, and then you can start attacking and start pinging stuff for a bunch.
Yeah, if Drakazeth doesn't die in 2 turns, I don't see how you ever lose that game. Fiery Confluence, 2 red, red for a sorcery. Choose 3. You can repeat modes. Deal 1 to each creature, deal 2 to each opponent, or destroy target artifact. Again, a mini board wipe. Very versatile. Don't sleep on the deal 6 to each opponent. That can burn people out of the game and take people out.
Yeah, I think that doesn't look that impressive on there, but when you start playing it, I think it'll play a lot better.
Yeah, great card. It kind of just slices and dices. It's obviously good, B+, just like all the other ones.
Yeah, I think all the confluences we've seen so far are B+.
The white one is the worst. I'm trying to even remember. Oh, the green one's also good, yeah.
Yeah. Goto, Bandit Warlord, 5 in a red for a 3/3 that says when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an equipment card, put it onto the battlefield, and then shuffle. When it attacks for the first time each turn, untap it and all samurai you control. After that phase, there's an additional combat phase. I mean, it's really good for those because it is a combat-based meta, so you're going to be getting those extra combat steps. I think that it really depends on your deck, right? Because it's going to look for those equipments, too.
Right, so Hammer of Nizam is a good one that we'll get to. Lightning Greaves is an uncommon, pretty realistic to have that alongside. You give them haste, and you can get an extra combat right away. How good that is going to vary wildly because there's no other samurai in the set. So this seems like a build around B.
Yeah, build around B. If it were a little bit, if it like gave a little bit more like protection to itself, I would put it a little bit higher.
Well, if there's equipment in your deck that gives protection, he's got protection.
Yeah, I'm just saying in general, like if it was stapled onto the card and not just like equipment you might have.
Yeah, it's a good card. Grenzo, Havoc Razor, red for a 2/2. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, read a novel. Go to creature they control or exile the top card of their library until end of next turn. Until end of turn, you can play that card and you may spend mana as though or any color to cast the spell. It draws cards if you connect, or it goads and gets some people off your back. Can be repeated too. I think this card is really good for 2 mana.
Yeah, I've seen it be so good. I didn't think it was going to be good the first couple times I've seen it played, but when I've seen it played and just taking the top card and then just goading creatures that like once you chip in with just little flyers or something really early, this is going to do work.
Yeah, all right, hear me out. Blue-red, Grenzo, Stitcher Giralf, Mill. You keep exiling the top card of the library.
I think, yeah, this, and then maybe even if you could get some Thopters around too.
Oh yeah, for sure. We got Thopters all day. We got a bunch of loyal apprentices in our deck.
You're gonna chip through, and then you're just going to goad or steal people's cards.
Card's great. It's card advantage, and it even has an option to goad. B+.
B+.
Yeah.
Heartless Hitsuguu, 3 red for a 4/3 that says if you tap it, it deals damage to each player equal to half that player's life total, rounded down.
Why? Why is this here?
I don't want this. I think because it's each player, it's not. I mean, if it was target player, it would be better, but each player, including you?
Like, I just think this card is lame. This doesn't make for fun games to me, where it's like, all right, everybody's super at risk now, and it doesn't even necessarily benefit me. I don't know if I would ever put this card in my deck.
D-, or even F.
Yeah, I'll just give it an F because I don't think this play pattern is something that is, like, helpful to you. So, Hellkite Charger, 4 red for a 5/5 flying haste. When it attacks, you can pay 7 mana, and if you do, you untap your attackers. And after this phase, there's an additional combat phase.
I mean, this is great in the end game when you have a big board and you need that extra combat and that extra damage.
Yeah, bajillion mana, green-red, maybe you got something going on. This could end games for sure. Flyers, like if you have 2 5/5 flyers, 2 attacks with those is going to kill somebody. You're going to take people out in the late game. Just kind of pricey up front. You need to get your legs under you, but it has haste, so.
Yeah, because you're not going. I think it's really, really tough to activate that ability first, even though it does have haste. So I think that if you do have that ton of mana or you have that mana production, it's going to be great.
Yeah, might be honestly a little bit more replaceable than it looks. I think this might be a C plus or a B minus. It's not. It doesn't feel like a B range to me. It's so expensive.
I would even just put it at C because I don't know how often I can get that second ability.
Yeah, if it's a common thing, sure, but 5/5 flying haste for 6. I want a little bit more, so maybe C plus.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll put it at C because I don't believe in the consistency of the extra combat.
Fair.
Inferno Titan, 4 red for a 6/6 that says if you pay 1 red, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, it deals 3 damage divided as you choose among 1, 2, or 3 targets.
Amazing. It's just starting to remove creatures over and over. It does something right away. It's a super huge threat. It can attack for a lot of damage. It snipes chump blockers like it's nobody's business. This card's amazing.
Yeah, plus you can pour all of your extra mana into it as long as it's red mana, and it'll just get bigger and bigger. I think this is good. This is what I'd rather be playing for 6 mana than the dragon.
Yes, I think Inferno Titan is an A minus. It just does everything.
Yeah, it goes in every red deck as the top end. A minus is good.
It gets creatures off your back. It does something right away. It dominates the board. Perfect. Speaking of dominating the board, here's a game ender if I've ever seen one. Insurrection, 8 mana, steal all creatures, untap them, they gain haste. Probably going to be like a guaranteed kill 1 or 2 players. I don't think you're going to get everybody, but this is a huge swing. This is an amazing. This takes board stalls and annihilates them. It just eats them for breakfast. If you're a red-black deck, you can start sacrificing the creatures that aren't from players who die.
Oh, that's so nasty.
So dirty.
I really like this. I mean, this is one of the best top ends you can have for red.
Yeah, it might be one of the best ones in the set. Like Ashnod's Altar with this, it becomes throw a bunch of burn spells at your opponents and then plague wind everyone.
A minus?
A minus. Yeah, this is in the A range for sure. This is a good card. Maybe just an A.
Yeah, I could see that too. Krenko Mob Boss, 2 red for a 3/3 that says when you tap him, create X/1/1 red goblin creature tokens where X is the number of goblins you control. I think there's less goblin support in this because I can't really name any other goblins.
Almost none, but he is an engine by himself that gets going pretty quick.
Yeah, I think people do know the power of Krenko, though.
Yeah.
And this will be a target immediately. But he is powerful, and, just 1, 2. It'll definitely spiral if he's left on the field. But I don't think he's going to be left on the field for that long.
He definitely, in this set, guaranteed he can't just explode and give you 8 goblins. So it does take time to build up. That was probably intentional. So I think this falls in like C plus B minus.
Yeah, I'd say C plus just because I don't think there's as much support for it. And then
he will do things eventually.
Yeah, I think it'll take a little too long. And I think there are more impactful commanders out there.
All right, Mages of the Wheel. 2 in a red for a 3/3. You can pay 1 in a red and sack it to have each player discard their hand and then draw 7 cards. Somebody just put a Nekusar deck mixed in here, and all those cards suck, and they're all Fs. Unless they're a Nekusar, and then they're just like, okay, you still might lose the game if you wheel a Nekusar. So I'm going to give this a straight up F. I don't want to make everybody draw 7. It's not good for me. I don't want to give 21 cards to my opponents when I get 7.
That is too much advantage I'm giving to everyone else. And I'm paying mana for this.
I pay 5 mana and they get all the bonus.
I'm not doing this. F is a good.
F is appropriate. Get out of here.
Yeah. Neheb the Eternal, 3 red for a 4/6 with Afflict 3, which means whenever this creature becomes blocked, defending player loses 3 life. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, add 1 red mana for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn. I mean, you're going to try and burn out everyone else and then get a bunch of mana and then play who knows what. I mean,
yeah, with this card, it's a little less threatening than in regular Commander because there's a lot less X spells. There's a lot less things to do with that 8 mana. It's just going to be, or 8 mana, with that extra mana. It's just going to be good.
Yeah, I think this is good. Not great, though.
No, yeah, it's just going to be a really solid way to, kind of take an extra turn worth of mana when you attack. Solid Commander just looks like a B.
Yeah, I was going to say B minus.
Totally fair card. I have nothing against him. Nesting Dragon, 3 red for a 5/4 flying. I'm going to shorten this. Landfall, you make a dragon egg that dies into a 2/2 with fire breathing. So that's really good token. It even is sacrificable to then give you a better dragon that also has flying. You don't play this on turn 5. You play it on turn 6 and then make your land drop. Terramorphic Expanse is great with this card. Looks like a B plus at least. It provides a lot of stats right away.
Yeah, I think with the upside of making those actual tokens and stuff, it can definitely spiral a little bit faster than other people think.
It makes a chump blocker that is then a decently normal token that flies.
I really like that. Honestly.
Yeah, B plus. Good card. I really like it.
Perforos, God of the Forge, 3 red for a 6/5 indestructible. As long as your devotion to red is less than 5, Perforos isn't a creature. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Perforos deals 2 damage to each opponent. If you pay 2 in a red, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. I think this is, if you draft this, I'm not going to say fully unbeatable, but I think you're teetering on that edge of pretty unbeatable.
You're going to get Arch Enemy, maybe. This looks like the best commander in the set. This seems like an easy A+. It just says you get to play your commander, which is basically unkillable, and just sit around and play chump blockers for the rest of the game. And when you play 20 creatures after you play Perforos, you win.
Yeah, this plus token deck equals you're just going to just burn people out so fast.
It's like, I'm surprised that they put this here because this card is going to be amazing. I'm never going to pass it ever, and it's going to lead to a lot of like really strong decks. Like these are the nutty decks that people get to show off.
Plus the extra little pump at the end for 2 in a red.
It's still relevant.
It's nice.
Yeah.
In the combat mez, it's nice, but you're going to burn people out so fast with the creatures coming in.
Please don't sleep on Perforos. Savage Beating, 3 red for an instant. Cast a spell only during your turn and only during combat. Choose one. Creature you control gain double strike, or untap your creatures and they get an extra combat phase, or you can pay 7 total to get both. This is like really conditional. You got to be pretty far ahead to have this do what you want it to. I think you can set up some situations, but it seems like a C+, where like it isn't always great. It's going to be either really great or like uncastable. So that feels like a C+.
Yeah, it's so dependent on your board, and I hate cards that just like depend on you being so far ahead that it.
It's funny, yeah, because it's a C+, but it will never play as a C+. It'll only ever be an F or an A.
Yeah, I hate cards like that. It's just such like a swing. It's like I hate when things are super dead in my hand, and this has the potential to be so dead.
Yeah, it seems like not the way to get extra combats. The next one does, though.
Scourge of the Throne, 4 red for a 5/5 flyer that has dethrone. Whenever this creature attacks the player with the most life or tied for the most life, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Whenever it attacks for the first time each turn, if it's attacking the player with the most life or tied for the most life, untap all attacking creatures. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. I want this in my red decks.
Oh yeah, this gives you a substantial body that blocks on board. Doesn't really do anything the turn it comes out, but the next turn is just obnoxious. You get to really wail on people.
I think it's crazy the fact that it has dethrone on it plus the ability before, because of course you're going to attack the player with the most life to trigger that. Oh, plus it just gets a +1/+1 counter. That's so obnoxious.
Yeah, it's like a double. It's a double little bonus for you. Kind of a savage beating card, although it's not as savage of a beating as. Savage Beating is less of a savage beating than Scourge of the Throne. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'd put this at A-, B+.
I think I'm in B+ range. It still has that ability to not impact the game a ton. It's not some of these busted cards. Star of Extinction, 5 red sorcery. Destroy a land, deal 20 damage to every creature and every planeswalker. It is literally the apocalypse. Weirdly, destroy target land means this spell targets one thing. If you Generous Gift, which is a common, the land that they're targeting, the spell fizzles.
Yeah, I think that in this, unlike normal constructed commander, lands aren't as big of a deal. So I'm not really so are you just destroying someone's base?
It doesn't matter. You just have to do it to resolve the spell. You want to deal 20.
I know.
And you just don't care what you're destroying. But Generous Gift being a common makes me a little nervous. A little more nervous than I would be to play this. It's still, I think, an A-, just blows everything up.
Really? I may say B+. I don't know. I feel like when you target people's lands, no matter how many lands they have, you're still going to have that kind of arch enemy on you.
What are they going to do, attack you? Not with creatures.
Yeah, I guess so, but I don't know. I feel like it leaves a bad taste in people's mouths for the rest of the game.
Maybe a B+.
Tempt with Vengeance, X and red for the tempting offer of create X/1/1 red elemental creature tokens with haste. Each opponent may create X/1/1 red creature elemental creature tokens with haste. For each opponent who does, you create X more of those creature tokens.
Oh look, it's the card that makes me just quit with Perforos in the command zone.
Yeah, this was Perforos. I mean,
game's over. Thanks for playing, right? You make 8 tokens, it takes 16? That's just one spell?
Combat's the way you're going to do it. So bare minimum, you're getting X tokens. So that's pretty good. And I think it also depends with all the tempting offers, how your opponents are taking it. Are they taking it?
I don't think they want this. I don't know. It's a lot to give. I usually don't take the offers. I think this is going to be, the tokens stick around, right?
Yeah, they do. So
it just seems pretty good. It seems okay. If they take the offer, you're obviously happy, but I don't think they should. C+.
Yeah, I think this is a C plus, or maybe even C. But in the decks that like need you to sacrifice creatures to do some stuff, this is great.
Yeah, your like Grave Pack decks are gonna love this. Treasure Nabber, 2 and a red for a 3/2. When an opponent taps an artifact for mana, you gain control of it until the end of your next turn. I think this is a build around because I think it's an F. If you're not playing almost exactly makeshift munitions, if you can sacrifice the artifacts that you steal, then it's more like a C plus B or something like that. This card is, I think is really bad. Outside of that.
Yeah, I think it's the fact that there's not as many mana rocks in the set as I would like to play with this because, there's a few, and that's definitely great. But unless you're getting the Soul Ring or that sort...
No, it just doesn't matter. To me, I think this card is just bad. Like, even if you get a Soul Ring, okay, this like tapped for 2 mana once, but you never stop your opponents from using the mana rocks. It kind of seems like it would, but when I play with this, it's like, all right, they tap Soul Ring. Okay, cool, I get it. Then goes around to me. I get to use Soul Ring once. It goes back to them, and they just get to tap Soul Ring again. They still have it.
I mean, even with the sacrifice effect, because even if you can sack it, I feel like there's so few triggers for that in the long run because everyone, I'd say like people having 1 mana rock each, they tap it. You have 3 triggers, and then that's nice and all.
What's 3 triggers? I'm lost.
Oh, I'm just saying if
you can get 3 deal ones. Well, if you have makeshift munitions in play, it means they can't tap their mana rocks for mana. They're just not going to.
Yeah, I guess. I'm not sure how I feel about this. It's definitely a build around, but I think even C.
Build around C+. I think, because we're just describing it, and even if when you have makeshift munitions in this, your opponents just don't tap them for mana, and that's only okay.
Yeah, I think C+ is just high. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
I think
just
even
forget this guy. He's an F outside of the red-black deck.
Yeah, I think build around even C-.
Yeah.
I'd rather put other stuff in my deck. Arachnogenesis, 2 and a green for an instant that says create X 1/2 green spider creature tokens with reach, where X is the number of creatures attacking you. Prevents all combat damage that would be dealt this turn by non-spider creatures.
Blowout City. Fogs and these types of like swingy cards are way more impactful in the slugfest super 12-turn games.
I've found watching BZ play her name?
You okay? Ishkana?
Ishkana, there we go. Sorry.
I was like, what are you talking about?
I was like, I remember you just going like, my poor baby, bring her back. Watching BZ play Ishkana is just watching him make 3 1/2 spiders with reach. Everyone going, yeah, I want to attack into that. So I think the 1/2 spiders will actually deter a lot more attacks than you think.
They're hard to attack into, and then you're presumably already being attacked, and you could just wreck somebody's life. This could change from a game-winning to attack, and they play an overrun. They're super happy. And you go, nope, Uno reverse, like no you, and then you can attack them and just take them out in a really clutch moment. This card's going to be the reason a lot of games end.
I'd put this at a B or B+ because it's a combat meta.
I like B+. I'm not going to pass this card, really. I think it's going to be really impactful. Azusa, Lost But Seeking, but you also don't want a million of that effect.
No.
Nice. 2 and a green for her. She's 1/2, and you can play 2 additional lands on each of your turns. I don't know. I'm kind of off of this. Unless you got like Tatiova stuff going on, there's not a ton of ways to abuse that.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what I'm ramping into at this.
There's plenty of things to ramp into, but it's just kind of like all right, you play your lands ahead of schedule. You got 6 lands in play, and now what does she do?
Yeah, I think there's a couple payoffs. There's that one that says if you have 10 lands in play.
Let's just say right now, there's a trillion things to ramp into. Like, actually a trillion. There's any number of 7 drops. We've read so many.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the lands matters ones, you know?
Oh.
Like the one that says if you have 10 lands, it gets +10, +10.
The Rhino Beetles.
Yeah, so I think there's some top-end things that will want, but I don't think there's a deck specifically that'll want it, you know?
It just looks like a kind of generically okay card. It seems like a C. I'm not thrilled by this.
Yeah, I mean, I'd even put it as C-. It seems like filler, and it seems like I don't want this as the commander, and I guess if I have to play it, I will.
Yeah.
Bloodspore Thrynax, 2 green for a 2/2 with Devour 1. As it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. This creature enters the battlefield with that many +1/+1 counters on it. Each other creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on Bloodspore Thrynax.
Okay, so this is another counters card. And by another counters card, I mean, where are all the counters rares? Where are they? Here it is. Here's like one of the only ones.
Yeah, I mean, this counters deck isn't really coming together from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, from what I'm seeing, I'm not going to be trying to draft equipment or counters.
Yeah, but the Devour one, that like it's a free sack outlet for at least 1 creature, and I guess it's good in some decks, but for 4 mana on it, I'm not sure if this is really what I want to play for that.
I think it's Devour 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. You just need to up front. You just need 2 creatures to sacrifice. Then you just have this as a 4/4, and your other creatures enter with 2 counters on it, and that's very nice, and it's going to be good for you, and you don't have to invest any extra mana in it. But all that amounts to C+, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say C, and I'm willing to put it up if I see good play with it.
Yeah, I'm willing to adjust that. All right, next is a big bad of the format. You know him, you hate him. It's Craterhoof Behemoth, 8 mana, 5/5 with haste. Enters the battlefield, creatures you control get trample and +X, where X is the number of creatures you control. This scales so insanely good for you that the game is probably over when you cast it. If you have 10 creatures, that's 100 power you get on top of whatever the creature's stats are.
Absolutely. You know that this is going to be the best top end in green if you can find it, and it's going to be what you tutor for if you're trying to end the game. I love it. A+.
There's nothing better than this card. You can't end the game in a more effective way, in a more guaranteed way. 6 creatures, 36 power, that still kills somebody. This card is amazing. It's obviously great, and you should never pass it.
Yes, a doubling season up next. 4 and a green that says if an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many tokens. You're also going to put double the counters on permanents. I think that this is finally the payoff for the counters deck that we were looking for.
And it feels like a build around B. We're like, it's pretty okay if you're making tokens, and it's pretty okay if you're putting counters on, but most decks don't want it.
Yeah, definitely a build around. But in those decks, it's going to have such a great payoff.
Unfortunately for most of you drafters, you're going to be forced to take this because it's worth too much money, and then you're going to have a bad card that you can't play. But, then you just pay for the draft. No big deal. Azuri's Predation, 5 green. For each creature your opponents control, you get a 4/4 green Phyrexian Beast creature token. Each of those tokens fights a different one of those creatures. Oh my god. This card's brutal. It destroys all of your opponent's creatures with 4 toughness or less, and then you profit 4/4 beasts for each creature from your opponents that was 3 power or less.
I want to give this an automatic A. I think this is great. I want to see this in every green deck.
Yes. Never pass it.
Yeah, it's just going to wipe the board with all of the little creatures, and you're going to get so much power in return.
Yeah, the only thing it doesn't necessarily do is insulate you against, 5/5 flyers. There's a couple of those running around. There's demons and dragons. But it's an A. It's not an A+, I guess, but it's really, really good.
Yeah, I'm going to take this in any green deck that can run it.
Yes.
Finale of Devastation, X green. Search your library and/or graveyard for a creature card with mana value X or less, put onto the battlefield. If you search this way, shuffle. If X is 10 or more, creatures you control get +X and gain haste until end of turn. Another game ender.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is an A also. A.
A-, I think is good. The searching is relevant, and in a late game, if you just save up to 12 mana, you don't get trample, but if you have enough creatures, it's just, and you can maybe get something that gives trample. There's a couple payoffs at common that can do it.
Yeah, I like the fact that you can go into your graveyard too.
Yeah, it's a nice little addition on this card. It's like, get to 12 mana, win the game. It's good in saplings. I think that's probably where it's going to shine the most.
Yeah, I think just A range, I can see it in A- or A.
A- feels good. Freyalise, Llanowar's Fury, the last of the Planeswalkers. 5 mana, 3 loyalty, +2 make a Llanowar elf, -2 destroy an artifact or enchantment, -6 draw a card for each green creature you control. Pluses to 5 gives you an actual creature when she pluses, so she can defend herself. She's not as likely to get demolished as literally every other one except Nahiri. So I like that. The naturalize can be good, but paying 5 mana to have this die and naturalize something, not ideal. But the the ultimate is attainable. You play her at 5, the next turn +7, then the turn after that, you get to draw a bunch of cards.
I like that ultimate, but I still don't think it'll survive 3 turns around, or at least if it survives, I don't think you're getting that ultimate because someone's going to go, that's so many creatures, and they're just, you can ping for a couple. I feel like you're going to be constantly out of that ulti.
I had an Elf Ball deck with Freyalise, and she's not the most ideal commander for it, but one thing that deck did that I think you can build towards in this set was turbo her out on turn 3 every time. And at that point, people are still getting their feet under them. They're still building. If you went first, it's even less of a chance they can attack it. And then you can maybe fire off an ultimate. So if you've got a lot of Elvish Mystics or whichever the version is in this set, and the 2 mana ramps and Beanstalk Giants, playing this on turn 3 or 4 might actually get you something.
Do you think it's a build around grade then?
Not really. I think it's a pretty good card. You can just play it in your deck, and sometimes it'll be a good commander.
Yeah. Okay. What grade would you give it?
B. Solid. It's still not anything groundbreaking.
Yeah, I might give it a little bit less because Planeswalkers, but I definitely think it's the best one that we've seen so far.
She leaves something tangible behind when she pluses. That's not something you get out of all of them.
Galta, Primal Hunger, 10 green, and it costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control. 12/12 trample.
Galta's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big green stompy creature, and I would be happy to have this in my command zone.
It basically costs 2 mana. You just can't cast it right away. You wait a few turns, build up your board, then it's huge. But if they kill it or exile it, you don't care because you just have to play like 1 or 2 more creatures, and then it costs 2 mana again. It negates its own tax. It also seems like one of the better commanders.
Yeah, I would definitely play this as my commander, and I love the fact that it's the total power creatures and not just the biggest creature for the cost reduction.
B+.
That makes it so easy. B+.
All right, let's go to an A. This is going to be real easy. The Great Henge. 9 mana, but it costs X less, where X is the greatest power. Taps for 2 mana, you gain 2 life, and non-token creatures entering, they get a counter, and you draw a card. There's nothing this card doesn't do. It's completely off the rails. A.
A is great. The 2 life's going to matter. The 2 mana always matters.
You're never going to pass it. It's fantastic. It's so good.
Yeah, even with so many reprints, it's still going to be up there.
Who cares what you're in? Just take it.
Yeah. Heroic Intervention, 1 and a green. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. I think this card is kind of a trap. I think that'll be good against board wipes, but other than that, it might sit dead in your hand, especially if someone has the -4/-4 board wipe or Toxic Deluge or, you know?
Or Cyclonic Rift.
Yeah.
Or Aether Gale. There's a few... Well, Aether Gale actually works, but there's a few things that this doesn't do. I think I would play it, but I think it's a C-.
Yeah, I would take it and see how it works.
It's a gotcha card, but it is one of the better gotcha cards.
Yeah, I think with all of the destroy board wipes, it's doable, but I also do think it reads better than it plays.
Yep. Joriel, Moonvali Recluse. 2 mana for a 1/2. When you draw your second card each turn, okay, you get a 2/2, and you pay 6 mana until end of turn. Creatures you control have base power and toughness XX, where X is your hand size. Super weird card. It wants you to draw and then have a giant hand, and then you can overrun with your cats or your saplings. I kind of like this. It's a cheap little value engine in the command zone.
I think it's cheap and that's good, but I don't know how often I'm going to have a full hand with the lack of card draw.
Well, you only need like 4 cards, because then you just get 4/4s. Like all your 1/1s and 2/2s become 4/4s.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's good, but again,
Seems
still,
like a C+. Like I'm not advocating for much here.
yeah, I think C+ is good.
All right, what do you got next?
Lifeblood Hydra, X green for a 0/0 trample. It enters the battlefield with X 1/1 counters on it. When it dies, you gain life and draw cards equal to its power. This is like one of the actual good counters payoffs.
Yeah, a little risky that it has to die, Path to Exile, Resculpt running around, but I don't think that's not a deterrent to play this card.
Yeah, I mean, if you're building the counters deck, this is one of the better payoffs that you're going to put into
Pretty
it.
sweet.
I think that it's a build around maybe B-.
Well, you don't have to build around it. It just enters with X counters, and then it dies, and you draw X cards.
I'm just thinking about the counters deck versus
Like counters can cheese a couple extra, but you're still gonna just play. Probably still play a 7 mana 4/4 that dies into 4 cards.
Yeah, the 4 cards is gonna be so good.
Yeah. So what would you give it? Like I would just probably give it like a B-.
Yeah, okay, I think B- is good.
Maybe in the counters deck it's a B. But Obscuring Haze is next, 2 and a green, unless you control your commander. Then it's free, and it fogs, but only for creatures you don't control. Another gotcha, another blowout. I think this is going to be the best this card will ever get. I'm a little upset because I speculated on it, and I bought like 20 copies a couple years ago, and now it's going to be worthless forever. But it's okay. You're going to be blowing people out, and the free aspect is going to really get people. I would definitely start this. I think it's like a B.
I think it's going to be... I'm just trying to think of how it is in this meta. I think B is good
It's
too.
going to be similar to Arachnogenesis.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about how it plays in normal Commander, and I was like,
It
ugh.
doesn't. It doesn't play. You
Yeah.
just don't play it.
I think in the combat meta, it's going to be pretty good.
All right.
Oren Frostfang, 3 green for a 2/6. Attacking creatures you control have Death Touch. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage, draw a card. I think this is going to be amazing.
What does this card not do?
Yeah, the Death Touch,
It pushes through damage and then rewards you for pushing through damage.
Yeah, I'm going to play this in any deck that plays green.
Any deck, yeah. It seems like an A- maybe.
I was going to say A- or...
It's kind of just nothing it doesn't do.
Yeah, I really like this.
Really, really good. Omnath, Locus of Mana, 2 and a green for a 1/1. You don't lose unspent mana, and it gets +1/+1 for each unspent green mana you have. I don't know. This is a vanilla type guy. It takes a lot of mana to pump into this. Don't treat it like you're getting the mana. You basically have to spend the mana because Omnath's not big unless you spend the mana and keep it floating in your pool forever. I don't think this is anything much more than a C.
I think C's
Unimpressive, sir.
I think C's even kind.
Let's just move on.
Yeah, Regal Behemoth, 4 green for a 5/5 trample. When it enters the battlefield, you become Monarch. Whenever you tap a land while you're Monarch, you add an additional mana of that color. Of any color, sorry.
Yeah, keeping the Monarch is, I get high incentive for it, but what you can do is just take the monarchy back after you lose it. Someone's going to take it from you. And if this doesn't die, you're the monarch now in your main phase, and you just get to go ham.
Double mana is so dangerous and good. I'm not sure if people will actually give you the monarch back.
Well, you take it.
I know. I'm just saying, like, if you're trying to make deals, because there's so many times with monarch, you can make a deal. It's like monarch, free card, just
Yeah,
trade
not
a
with
little.
this guy out.
Yeah.
This is really, really strong. Probably a B+, right?
Yeah, B+.
It draws a card when it enters. Sakiko, Mother of Summer. 6 for a green, 6 for a 3/3. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, add that much green, and it doesn't. And until end of turn, you don't lose it. So you get to keep it for your main phase. I don't know what to do with all this green. What am I doing?
I'm not sure.
It's kind of like Neheb. So maybe we need to respect it, right? It's basically Neheb. So what did Neheb get? A B?
I think.
So we'll give her a B. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think you might have places to put that mana, but not always, and that's.
Well, that same is true with Neheb, right?
Yeah,
And
no,
we were
that's
pretty
what I'm
excited
saying.
about that.
We were pretty excited, but again, we were saying it's not. We can't do the shenanigans that we
Yeah,
can do in
it's
a constructed deck.
Not as busted and constructed. So B feels fine.
Selvala, Heart of the Wilds, 1 green. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, its control may draw a card if its power is greater than each other creature's power. And if you pay a green and tap it, add X mana of any combination of colors, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. She's a 2/3, and I think that like if you pair this like Galt or something, that's crazy.
I think we're getting like a Hall of Fame monocolor commander cycle, like Heliod, Urza,
Perforos.
Maybe Razaketh was the black one. I don't remember. But then now Selvala, who is an A, by the way. This card just does everything. It is like completely nutty, whether it's in the deck or in the command zone. But I think if it's in your deck, you're making a mistake.
Yeah, you should put it in the command zone, make your big green stompy deck. Keep drawing those cards. Just keep playing more.
It does way too much. It even color phases you. You get to choose any combination. The card's amazing. Definitely play it. Song of the Dryads, I'm surprised is in here because it's 2 and a green and it turns a permanent into a forest. So you're shutting off probably a commander, but really anything that's problematic.
This is so rude.
So rude.
Because you can just trap someone's commander on the board. Like, are they going to use their own like kill spell to kill their own commander because you have it trapped?
Sure. Why not? Go for it.
That's so rude. And like I really like it though because it's so versatile because it's permanent.
Yeah, green can't answer creatures super well, so I'm glad to have this. B.
B is good.
Rock solid.
Yeah, I love the fact, just enchanting enchantments too. Like
Yeah, enchanting enchantments and making them forests.
Stonehoof Chieftain, 7 and a green for an 8/8 trample indestructible. Whenever another creature you control attacks, it gains trample and indestructible until end of turn.
Okay, I like that the ability is tied to this, so if you get the attack trigger off, if this somehow meets a demise, I don't know why that didn't sooner, but it's still a guaranteed indestructible. It's not like Sun Quan where your creatures are only unblockable. If he could just go away, they're just not unblockable all of a sudden. Indestructible means he's hard to kill. I think this is probably a good top end card. He's got trample too, right? So
yeah, I like the fact that it doesn't rely on him attacking to make it, and
his
that
effect has like pseudo haste.
yeah. So if you just have a big green creature or any creature out that you could just attack with, it's just getting trample and indestructible
like a bee.
immediately. I think B's good.
All right, Tooth and Nail. 5 green for a sorcery. You either search for 2 creatures, put them in your hand, put 2 creatures from your hand on the battlefield, or pay 2 extra mana, 9 total, and do them both. This is not going to be the game ender that it always is in Commander because we don't have a choice few cards in our pool every time. Maybe you have Craterhoof. But this just gets you 2 best things. It's probably going to be spend 9 mana to get like 15 mana or 13 mana worth of creatures, and that's great.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bargain no matter how you slice it.
You draw them, and then they just go into play. Perfect.
I think it's really funny because, like, what if you have 2 Craterhoofs in your deck?
Then the game is over.
I would take this pretty highly, honestly.
Yeah, I like it probably at a B or a B+, and then you'll know when it's better than that.
Yeah, I think B is good because...
Throw a demon out, throw a dragon out, just have a nice solid 2-for-1.
Yeah. Verdant Confluence, 4 green. Choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. You can either put 2 1/1 counters on target creature, return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand, or search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. I think this is one of the worst confluences.
The Grixis ones are the best, and this and the white one are a little weird. Why would I want to search for a land on turn 6? 2 counters is a little bit lackluster, so you can get 2 permanents back and put 2 counters on something. That might put it over the line. It's an okay card. I said it was good earlier. I'm realizing that one of the modes is search for a land.
I'm not a big fan of this, especially since it is sorcery speed.
I
6
mean,
mana sorcery speed.
Yeah,
and
the instant doesn't even give you that much extra, though. Even if it was like 2 counters, all right.
I guess. I mean, it might be a little bit of a gotcha, but also just
It's like a C+. can put it in your deck.
I think C plus is high. I'd put it at C.
Yeah, that's fair. Wayward Sawtooth, 2 and a green for a 5/5 that can't attack or block unless you're ascended, and you can play an additional land on each of your turns. I like it a little bit better than Azusa because it brawls. It has relevant stats, and ascending's pretty easy, especially since it helps you put extra permanents out. Totally fine. Probably just a C plus.
Yeah, it's fine. It's playable.
Yeah. What's next?
Yisan, the Wandering Bard, 2 and a green for a 2/3. If you pay 2 and a green and tap him, put a verse counter on him. Search your library for a creature card with mana value equal to the number of verse counters on him. Put it on the battlefield and shuffle.
CDH, this is not. So he's going to be very slow, and he'll slowly work up the chain. You're going to get Elvish Mystic, then you're going to get some 2-drop, then you're going to starting to get real creatures, but that's a lot of setup. It takes a long time.
Yeah, I mean, this is the only place that I could see those proliferate cards being good, and even then, they're not that good.
Yeah, he's not even that threatening. I'm not scared of Yisan going to get a 3-drop.
Yeah, because I think it'll take that time to build up, and especially since it is 3 mana and to tap him to put it on the battlefield.
I guess he's just a D.
D.
He's slow as heck, and I'm not scared of him.
Yeah, I think if he was left on the field for too long, it would be good, but that would take so many turns, and
Yes.
I'm not worried about that.
I'm ready to move on to multicolor cards. This is where things get a little wonky because they want to make the multicolor cards more appealing since why wouldn't I just have 2 monocolor commanders? So there's some weird stuff. Experiment Crotch, 2 green, green, blue, blue for a 4/6. It has all activated abilities of all other creatures with counters on them, and you can tap to put a counter on any creature. So you can steal, or obtain opponents' activated abilities. Kind of a slow to get off the ground type of card. Doesn't do a ton on ETB, but I think there's a lot of potential if you untap.
I think that could be kind of a fun commander.
It looks fun.
What are you giving it then?
I would give it like a C plus. It's a little clunky, but it can do work if you untap with it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the power's a little not.
Power's
as much.
low, fun's high though.
Yeah.
It's not a bad card.
I think if you want to try it, I would definitely try it. Gisela, Blade of Gold Knight, 4 red, white, white, 5/5 flying first strike. If a source would deal damage to an opponent or permanent an opponent controls, deals double. If it would deal damage to you or permanent you control, it deals half.
Such a lightning rod. You can't really lose with this out. Your opponents are gonna die really quick.
Yeah, you need to kill this immediately, but if you have the protection for it, this is amazing.
Mm-hmm. I'm seeing cards that make me like Shelter, but I still probably won't play Shelter too often. Yeah, Gisela, B plus.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's powerful.
Pretty brutal. You could kill somebody when you play this.
Especially if you have extra combat steps or something.
There's a few ways to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say B plus, maybe even A minus. I'd take this pretty highly, and maybe just watch and see what comes around.
You want to Teamer Battle Rage this, and you want to Fists of Flame it. I think if you Teamer Battle Rage it, they just take 20 damage.
Wow.
Okay. Hannah Ship's Navigator, 1 blue, white for a 1/2. Pay 3 and tap it and return an artifact or enchantment from your graveyard to your hand. That's sick, nasty value town. Proof that the blue-white deck is the artifact deck, and I'm in.
Yeah, I definitely can see so much payoff with this.
Just like a B, it's solid.
Yeah, it's a solid card, and I like this a lot better than the other artifact commanders we've seen prior. Carador, Ghost Chieftain.
My boy.
5 white, black, green. This spell costs 1 less for each creature card in your graveyard. Once during each of your turns, you may cast a creature spell from your graveyard. And it's a 3/4, which I thought it had bigger stats than that.
Wow, offensive. Carador's amazing, and he's perfect just the way he is.
Look, I just thought he had a bigger butt. That's all I'm saying.
For real, though, this is one of the commanders that I'm auto-taking. It's really, really good. You get to put in 3 colors. It doesn't really have commander text if you're consistently milling yourself, which black and green can both do in this set. I think this card might be an A-. It's just your best creature again every turn.
Yeah, I think that maybe your nostalgia is putting it a
You
little
can't
high.
keep this thing off. You can't
but
keep it off the board.
Bare minimum B+.
How many times do they have to kill this to make it cost, man, in the late game, if you're doing the thing, this card is really, really good.
I think I want to see it do the thing first.
I think you know it does the thing.
Siege Rhino?
Yeah, I wish it was in the set. Kaikar, Wind's Fury, 1 and a Jeskai for a 3/3 flyer. Casting non-creature spells get you 1/1 flyers, and you can sacrifice those flyers to add a red. Pretty good. It's like a Talrand, but you get 1/1s.
Yeah, I like this, and the extra colors is definitely nice for a
Sure.
little bit of diversity.
Yeah, and you can ramp a little bit. I think it's just a C+, just a totally fair card.
Yeah, C+.
3 colors is nice, though. There's a little boost to these 3-color commanders if you're going to play them as your commander, because you get a whole extra color.
Yeah, I mean, I love 3 colors, as you know.
Oh, you'll be doing all of these. You'll be drafting this card, too.
Yeah, Maelstrom Wanderer, 5 green, blue, red. Creatures you control have haste, cascade, then cascade again, and it also is a 7/5 body.
This card's just an A, right?
Yeah.
It's obnoxious. It's so tough because it's going to cascade, and your worst cascade targets are like ramp or something, and you're going to get your big monsters out. But if they kill this, you just play it again. You get 2 more cascades.
Yeah, and the fact that creatures have haste, so even if you get those mana dorks or something, you can tap them immediately and play something else.
Yeah, you're going to hit monsters and just come crashing through. Opponents aren't going to know what hit them.
Yeah, I think A is great for this. I would always want to take this.
Yeah, here's another potential A. Marin of Clandel Toth. 2 green-black for a 3/4. Oh, I thought she had higher stats than that. Oh, 3/4.
Wow,
That's
okay.
pretty weak. Whenever another creature you control dies, you get an experience counter at your end step. Return a creature to your hand unless the creature's mana cost is equal to or less than your experience counters. Then you get into the battlefield. So wordy, but it's like a Carador. Once you get the experience counters that don't go away, you just get your best creature back every turn, just like Carador. I think it's another A.
Yeah, and the fact that you get it back for free with the amount of experience counters, I love the fact that it's not tied to Marin itself. It's tied to you as a player.
Yeah, so like the new Marins don't reset every time. It's not, you don't have to rebuild like you do with Yisan.
Yeah.
I think maybe if Yisan was come today, he would have experience counters.
Yeah, this is better Isan.
Yeah, but just the fact that you get it to your hand no matter what, you don't even have to do any work. You just get a card every turn.
B+? A-?
A.
Real?
Yeah,
Okay.
I said it was an A.
Okay.
I'm sticking by that.
Miri, Weatherlight Duelist, 1 green-white for a 3/2 first strike. When it attacks, each opponent can't block with more than 1 creature this combat. As long as it's tapped, no more than 1 creature can attack you each combat. I think this defends, this attacks, this does it all, and in the combat meta, that's really, really good.
Totally rock solid. It seems like a B. It gives you a lot of insulation and aggression at the same time. Maybe it's a must kill, but it's a cheap card to cast. I'll replay it, no problem.
Yeah, I want to put this in my command zone.
Let's go to Mythics of the Ismagus. This is another like just you wait till I untap card that probably is more supported in regular Commander, but it's 4 mana for a 2/2. Casting instant sorceries gets you EXP counters, and instant sorceries cost 1 less to cast for each EXP counter you have. It'll get you reduction, but don't expect this to be casting X spells for 15.
Yeah.
Feels like a C to me.
I would play this more likely in the 58 or something.
Maybe it's just not a card that I'm going to be too excited about. You've seen a lot of these immediate value monster cards, like basically all the other 3-color commanders, and this one just feels a little slow.
Yeah, I was gonna say slow. I think that it is the just you wait until I untap, and I'd really rather be doing other things, especially since there aren't as many cantrips as I'd like.
But finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, the deck that nobody asked for and will not be good at all.
Nekuzar, the Mind Razor, 2 blue, black, red for a 2/4. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. When an opponent draws a card, Nekuzar deals 1 damage to that player. I don't want my opponents drawing extra cards.
I'll take a damage to draw an extra card. How much can you weaponize it? We saw there's 5 cards in this whole set, most of which are rare, that help with Nekuzar, and we gave them all Fs. We want to give Nekuzar an F?
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy. Playing for fun, not for value.
Yeah, that's just too many resources to give away.
Yeah, here's resources that you don't have to give away. It's Queen Marchesa. 1 and a Mardu for a 3/3 Death Touch Haste. Each of you become the Monarch, and at your upkeep, if you're not the Monarch, you get a 1/1 with Death Touch and Haste to take back the Monarchy or to protect your face after you take back the Monarchy with something else. This card's amazing. I think it's an A. I think just making you the Monarch on a commander is pretty good insurance to have. I love this card. It's so good.
Marchesa asks nothing of you. And
Literally nothing. Just play cards.
I think A is great for this.
Just amazing. You should probably take it early.
Rafik of the Many, 1 green, white, blue with Exalted. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gains double strike until end of turn, 3/3. I think that you're trying to make this into a Voltron deck, you know.
Rafik kills you so fast. He attacks for 8.
Yeah, that is so chunky, and especially if you get some of those cheaper equipment on it.
Yeah, if you can give it trample and maybe some bonuses with equipment or counters in the green-white deck, Rafik kills you really, really quick. You got to respect Rafik.
Lightning Greaves on this, oh my god,
But
amazing.
his ability has haste because it just is any creature attacking alone. So you have 3/3 and you play Rafik. The 3/3 attacks for 8.
Yeah, I like him. I like him.
It's an A. It just kicks the crap out of people, and it's not even hard to recast, right?
Yeah, I mean, for only 4 mana and then recasting it for 6, I would do it all the
I
time.
like A for Rafik.
Yeah.
This Scarab God. Really, this is going to be probably one of the best commanders. 5 mana, 5/5. Upkeep, drain opponents for X and Scryax. Rex is your zombie count. 4 mana, exile a creature from a graveyard. Get a 4/4 copy of it. And then when the Scarab God dies, return it to your hand at the end step.
All of these gold cards that we're doing is banger after banger.
This is just like, this is an A+, I think. This is probably one of the best commanders you can have. It's virtually unkillable. You can't keep it dead anyway. And the mana sink potential to just take over the game it never goes away.
A+ is great. I would be so secure and happy to have this in my command zone.
I'm ready to arch enemy the Scarab God player. Yeesh. That's like Perforos levels of gross.
Sekuar, Deathkeeper, 2 black, red, green for a 4/3. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, create a 3/1 black and red Graveborn creature token with haste. I think
Very simple.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to try and put these in your sacrifice decks and that, and it has the colors to support it.
Feels more like a B- though.
Yeah. It's definitely not on the power level of Marchesa or Scarab God or anything like that.
Carador. Who said that?
But it has its payoffs, and I think it's pretty solid, especially for the 3 colors.
Right. I'm happy to play any 3-color commander basically just for the colors alone, but they're different degrees of powerful. Sidisi Brute Tyrant is actually probably one of the weaker ones. 4 mana 3/3, ETB or attacks, mill 3. Whenever a creature card is put into your graveyard from your library, you get a 2/2 zombie. Only one or more. So if you mill 3 creatures, you get 1 zombie. This card does not work for as long as it seems. You get maybe 6 or 7 triggers off of this. You're going to get your zombie tokens, but then it's kind of like you can't use Sidisi anymore because you're going to mill out. And the zombie tokens aren't going to give you enough oomph to win the game all the time. So be careful. This might be the weakest 3-color commander.
Yeah, this is dangerous. It's so deceptive.
Well, you're not going to kill yourself with it, but it kind of just stops working at a certain point.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather this be in the 58, but obviously you can't. So I'd take it just in case I was not getting enough playables, but I wouldn't first pick it.
Yeah, that's actually true. We didn't mention this, but we probably should have. You have to basically play these as commanders because there's really no other way to get a 3-color deck. Like, you can't put a Sidisi in a deck. I think there's 2 5-color commanders, but other than that, yeah, very good point. These just have to be your commander. So Sidisi, a little weak. I think it's maybe a C-.
Yeah, I may even C- seems about fair.
Yeah, she puts bodies out.
Teysa Karlov, 2 white black for a 2/4. If a creature dies and causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger an additional time. Creature tokens you control have vigilance and lifelink. I am not sure how many death triggers we have some.
There's Bastion of Remembrance is like the card you want with this.
Yeah, but
day.
I think the Vigi and lifelink is really the main draw to this.
Yeah, white black is tokens, so.
Yeah, and you're going to be able to sustain yourself. But I don't think I'd keep this in my command zone. I think there are better payoffs if you want white and black.
I kind of like it. There's monocolor pairings that'll be better, but Vigi lifelink, I think if you're making enough flyers, is going to be really good. Like, you get battle screeches, it just starts bolstering your life total.
I think B- C+ is about where I'd put this. But
B- feels good.
Yeah, but I think I'd rather put 2 monocolors and then put this in the 58.
Yes, achievement unlocked number 1, the Dragon. 4 in a Wooburg for a 10/10 Eminence. No matter what happens or where this thing is, your dragons cost 1 less. Flying, whenever one or more dragons you control attack, you draw that many cards and you put a permanent from your hand on the battlefield. This will always give you a bonus of making your dragons cheaper. There's not that many dragons in this set. They're mostly in red. And casting this is going to be really hard because the fixing is not exceptional. And it's Wooburg. And it's 9 mana.
This is a powerful commander in Constructed Commander, but I don't think this is going to be as powerful as you think in this draft format. I would take this if I'm getting a money draft or something, but I wouldn't take this if I'm trying to build the most synergistic deck.
You can just take it as like a 3-color commander and then say I'll be in 3 main colors and then maybe splash another color and then have Dragon be hard to cast. I think it's like a B.
I think B is good. It has potential for a lot, but I would be so worried about just the 5 colors. I don't think.
You know what? Probably a build around B. If you don't have dragons, it's a 9 mana 10/10.
Yeah, it's
with
not
kind of a bad ability. So by itself, because you have to untap with it, and you only get 1 permanent out. So yeah, let's just give it a build around B.
Yeah, build around's good. Zantra, Sleeper Agent, 1 black red for a 5/5, enters the battlefield under the control of an opponent of your choice. It attacks each combat if able, and can't attack its owner or planeswalkers its owner controls. If you pay 3, its controller loses 2 life, and you draw a card. Any player can activate that, though.
Ouch. That's going to add up for the person who controls her.
I think this is kind of fun.
Nice little mana sink. You can throw it with Ashnod's Altar. This card's very good. It will get some stuff done. I maybe like it in the 99 better than the command zone, the 58.
Yeah, I think but if you do put it in the command zone, the 5/5, it could stack up.
Right. It also can get eaten by things. Like if I have Deadly Recluse and an opponent is attacking me with someone else's Zantia, I'm blocking it. Bye.
Yeah, but if those people really need those cards, the 2 damage could really stack up.
Cool political card. Seems like a C.
Yeah, I don't think it's terribly powerful, and I think C is good, but I think it could be really fun.
Yeah, here's a fun card. Yannette, Cryptic Sovereign, 2 and an Esper for a 3/5 Flying Vigilance Menace. Really hard to block. And when it attacks, reveal the top card of your library. You can cast it without paying its mana cost if its mana value is odd. If you don't cast it, draw a card. I don't know how to control the top card of my library enough to make this not a crapshoot. So it just looks like a 5 mana 3/5 that draws a card every turn, and then sometimes you get a huge mana boost. Cool.
Yeah, it seems pretty, like, especially for 3 colors, it's good.
Good blocker, good attacker, B+.
Yeah, I think B+ in the draft format.
Sure.
Yuriko, the Tiger Shadow, blue-black for a 1/3 with Commander Ninjutsu, so you can always play it for blue-black if you have a creature that isn't blocked. And whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, reveal the top card of your library, put that card into your hand. Each opponent loses life equal to that card's mana value.
Much tamer without all her ninja buddies, huh?
Yeah, I don't think there's many other ninjas in here,
If any.
but it's still, 1 card if you can get her through. And then just each opponent loses how much you have on top. I think this is a lot less scary, though, and I think that I wouldn't take this too highly.
Yeah, I don't think it's that great. C+.
I
I'm
think
not sure what to do with it.
I don't even think I'd put it as C+. I'd put it as C because I think with the 1/3 in, once you get it down that one time and get that 1 card, it's going to be really hard to sneak it in again.
I would never think that Yuriko would get a C or C+, but here we are with no ninjas in the set and not a lot of evasive creatures that are like 1 or 0 mana. Next card, though, Banger, Zakama, Primal Calamity at rare. You're going to see this all the time. 9 mana, 9/9, Vigilance, Trample, Reach. Enters the battlefield. If you cast it, untap all your lands. 2 in a red, 3 damage. 2 in a white, gain 5. Gain 3. 2 in a green, destroy an artifact or enchantment. Sorry, the text is so small. The only thing about this card is that when you cast it, there's a brief window for someone to kill it before you get to untap and use its abilities. That being said, when it enters the battlefield, you untap your lands. Even if they kill it, you just get a free extra turn, basically. This thing dominates games by itself. If you don't answer it, you probably can't win.
Yeah, I love the fact that it has so many abilities stapled onto it, and it basically refunds itself as long as your opponents don't kill it in that small window of time.
It's got reach, so it blocks super well. It gains you life in case you're hurting in the late game and you need to catch up. Is this just an A?
Yeah, I think it's an A. It's so versatile.
So good. Really good. Play this card a lot.
Zilortha, Strength Incarnate, 3 red-green for a 7/3 trample. Lethal damage dealt to your creatures you control is determined by their power rather than their toughness.
I don't like when they do this to cards. It's not a 7/3. It literally just isn't a 7/3. It's a 7/7 in almost every case. But it does die to, like, Feast of Succession.
I think this just gets really confusing looking at all of your creatures, and you definitely have to build around, but I don't think it's that great in the draft, like what we've seen in this format.
It's keyword big, and that seems to me just like a C.
Yeah, see, it's fine. It's fine.
Totally fine. You're not going to be able to take too much advantage of it.
It's better than that one other green-red commander.
Yes. All right, this next one, hard to cast, but it's worth it. Kozilek, the Great Distortion, 8 wingding for a 12/12 menace, so 2 hits and you're dead. When you cast it, you draw up to 7 cards and discard a card with mana value X, counter a spell with mana value X. Getting those 2 wingdings is going to be so hard. Make sure you grab all the Soul Rings and Thran Dynamos and like Opulent Palaces you can. You're never going to be able to command zone this. I would love to see a deck list if you can. That would be so cool. You're mostly going to have this as a huge top end. Great card.
Yeah, I think it's great as a top end. I was actually, while you were talking about it, I was trying to picture a deck list for this, and I was like,
Just all mana rocks?
I can't put enough playables in it to do that.
It looks like a build around A. You got to get those wingdings. Otherwise, uncastable. So I think in a deck that can't cast this, don't put it in your deck.
Yeah.
So it seems like an A. Build around A.
Yeah, build around, strongly stress the build around.
Mm-hmm.
Morph on the Boundless, 7 mana, 6/6. It's a changeling. You can choose a creature type when it enters battlefield. Spells of the chosen type cost Wooburg less to cast. It reduces only amount of color mana you pay. Other creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. I think that this is a little bit rough in this because even though it can be Wooburg, I think there's not a lot of support for typal decks that you have to cast a ton because, like, for instance, with Saprolings, a lot of them are made through enter the battlefield or sacrifice effects, and I don't think that this is as good as a normal commander.
So this is better than the Ur Dragon by a lot in terms of it's very castable, it's colorless mana, and you can make, like, just take all the good cards you want and as much fixing that can support them. You could say, I'm basically a Naya deck, but I just have more fun in my command zone. You can cast it. It does a little something. Figure out what the most prominent creature type is, name that, and then they cost a few mana less to cast. And then you can maybe pump them in some weird universe. But, and then they're pumped up, so you just get a little bit of a bonus. I think it's a B. Like, Ur Dragon was built around B, but I just think this is a regular B.
I think maybe B minus. I don't know. It's just the minus Wooburg is nice, but I feel like
But access to all colors is like what I'm really kind of excited about. And Ur Dragon is not castable if you can't color fix. This is.
Yeah, it's the access is nice. I was just trying to think of if you there's so many like it's so hard to fix at a certain point because there's no way.
You don't have to fix. You can play any number of colors you want. You can build a 2-color deck with Morophon. But when you first pick Morophon, you have the freedom to just take any good card you want for the rest of the draft.
Yeah, I was just thinking about building a legit 5-color deck.
Yeah,
I'm
don't
like,
do that.
oh boy, like
don't do that. Pick like 3 colors.
This is gonna suck.
Yeah, definitely don't even try that. That's just, there's no payoff for that.
Yeah, for that.
Just take it for the colors. Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, 10 mana, 10/10, cast it, exile, 2 permanents, indestructible, and when it attacks, defending player exiles the top 20 cards in their library. Is this an A+?
A+.
You basically 2-shot any player with this. It's huge, so it could kill them if they take the damage, and you get to snipe the 2 best things on cast. So
Yeah.
it catches you up if you're behind.
I think this has so many effects stapled to it, and 20 cards, a third of the library, but you're not casting this at the very beginning, so it's gonna
really a 2-shot. Yeah.
It could even be half of their library depending on when you cast it.
Mm-hmm. A+, never pass it. Build your deck around this to cast a 10-drop, and you're going to be real happy.
It's so nasty. Boom Pile for 4 mana. You tap it and flip a coin. If you win the flip, destroy all non-land permanents. I don't want to play this.
I kind of like it. I might play it. It's just a little tricky. You could get screwed by it. So just know there's like a 25% chance this isn't going to work in a timely fashion. Let's give it like a C-. It's not a guaranteed board wipe, but if I didn't have one, I would play this.
Yeah, I'd say if you have absolutely no board wipes, it's good. But I don't know. I have been screwed over by the flip a coin effects and gotten nothing for like 4 or 5 turns in a row. So that would be a 4 mana do nothing.
Yeah, that's rough. Champion's Helm, 3 mana for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2. If it's legendary, it is hexproof and equips for 1. I want my commander to have +2/+2 hexproof. In this format, I feel like that's just kind of generically good. This might be a B+.
Yeah, I think this is one of the best equipments that we've actually seen.
And it only equips for 1. We got a good one.
This is something I take immediately, especially since it is colorless.
And you know it'll go in your deck. It's a pretty neutral play.
Yeah, I think B+ is good. Chromatic Lantern, 3 mana. Lands you control can tap for any color, and if you tap it, you can add 1 mana of any color too. I think it really depends on the deck you're playing, because if
you don't want Manolith.
Yeah, I think if you're playing those 3-color commanders or 5-color commanders, this can be really good. But if you're playing, monocolor or 2-color, I'm not sure.
I wouldn't play it in 2-color, but 3-color I could see because it might color fix. You might be the difference. Emerald Medallion standing in for all 5 medallions. They're really, really good cards. They make colored spells cost 1 less, and they cost 2 mana. So they're all, I think, B+. You can, even if you're not heavy in one of the colors, you mostly want things in 2-color decks. But in that, they're all B+. They can virtually add multiple mana per turn if you cast double green spell.
Yeah, I really like the medallions.
Super solid.
Extraplanar Lens, 3 mana. When it enters the battlefield, you can exile a target land you control. Whenever a land with the same name as the exiled card is tapped for mana, its controller adds 1 mana of any type that land produced. I know you don't like this in normal Commander.
I think the only time you would play it in normal Commander is when you're mono-colored. That is not very doable in this. The color has to be wide open for you to play monocolor. So this is like a build around. Oh God, it's a build around B-.
Yeah, I think it's just.
I think it's trash if you're 2 colors. Don't play it.
I think it's a little bit scary too because it's the fact that whenever it's like you're gonna be naming basically a basic land. So if someone else has that, and even if they're 2 colors, they can get the extra.
Oh, you know what? I forgot about that. This is an F. Don't play it ever. I forgot that it just helps everybody. Oh man, you know what? I tricked myself into thinking this card wasn't horrendous. I think you probably just shouldn't play it. I forgot about that clause.
Yeah, especially with the fact that there aren't a ton of duels or anything running around, and there's going to be so many basics. It's going to help other people more than you, in my opinion.
Yeah, we've talked about a lot of mana rocks, so I'm going to keep this brief. Gilded Lotus, 5 mana, taps for 3 of any 1 color. Nice color fixing. It can ramp you into the moon. If you play Ulamog, you're going to want this big boys kind of style. It seems like a B-. Pretty okay mana rock.
Yeah, I mean, it could go in any deck.
Yeah, what else is there to say?
3 mana is a lot. Hammer Nazan, 4 mana. Whenever it or another equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you can attach that to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has indestructible, and you can equip it for 4. But, I mean, it equips for free immediately.
Possibly the best equipment in the set.
Yeah, I mean,
Indestructible's huge bonus, and then it saves you so much mana when you play all these like clunky equipments later, and you can tutor for it maybe with Steel Shaper's Gift and help. Like a Steel Shaper's Gift is a card that's going to wheel, and only the one deck wants it, so you might get both.
I mean, honestly, I'd put this in any deck that could run it if I'm trying to push through a lot of damage.
Well,
Because
Steel Shaper's Gift wheels. This card does not wheel because it is an auto first pick.
yeah, no, I meant this card.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, no, I'd give it a B plus.
B plus, yeah. It's just like, when am I not playing it? I don't need equipments. I don't even care. Idol of Oblivion, 2 mana, tap, draw a card. If you made a token this turn, 8 tap, sack, make a 10/10 Eldrazi. I've almost never done that in my entire life, but I'm glad it's there as a nice cash in the late game. Tokens decks, play it. Build around B plus.
Yeah. It might be dead if you can't build those tokens, but I think there's so many ways to make tokens in this that it can be pretty
It
consistent.
makes Fungal Plots and Jade Mage look a little bit better.
Yeah. The Immortal Sun, 6 mana. Players can't activate Planeswalker's loyalty abilities. At the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card. Spells cost 1 less to cast. Creatures you control get +1/+1. I think it's more playable in this draft format than it
Yeah.
is in normal Commander.
Yes, it's going to be pretty good. It gives you enough value pretty consistently across the board. It kind of does a little bit of everything, and I'll take it all. I think it's B plus.
Yeah.
I don't really pass that card, right? You just don't pass that.
I wouldn't pass it, especially since it is colorless. It leaves you wide open.
Yeah, Inspiring Statuary, 3 mana, non-artifact spells you cast have Improvise. So this is probably, okay, not probably, it's definitely a build around. It's probably a build around B minus, where like you're going to get a few extra mana than you normally would have. In your blue-white decks, you can cast some Sard, but if your deck's all artifacts, it doesn't do anything because it only gives non-artifact spells that. So just be careful with it. Balance it out. Make sure you have enough mix, and it'll be like a B minus.
Yeah, synergy is definitely key with this card. Jeweled Lotus.
You may have heard of it.
You don't need synergy with this card though. 0 mana. If you sack it, you could add 3 mana of any one color, but you have to cast your commander with it. Goes in every deck.
Yep, pretty much goes in every deck because you have 2 commanders, and even in the 3-color commanders, it still can ramp you into it 2 turns ahead of schedule. Just a nutty card. You should never pass it because A, it's worth $50 plus when the set comes out. B, it'll ramp out your commander. You could have 2 monocolors and just you can go ham with it. It's great. It's an A.
I'd say A plus because
Sure, let's just give it an A plus.
Yeah, when am I not putting this in my deck?
The only thing is it might be bad in the late game, but that's fine. Scythe Claw, 5 mana for an equipment. Oh man, I don't even want to read this card. Living Weapon, +1/+1. Equipped creature hits a player, they lose half their life rounded up, and it equips for 3. I just don't see this getting through. I always see these equipments, and they look so brutal, but I never get them through.
Does it have trample?
No, it's just a 1/1.
Oh. Yeah, that's not that impressive. It reads great, and it plays probably really badly.
I'd give it a D. You don't really need to play this.
Yeah.
It's not very good.
Sword of the Animus, 2 mana for equipped creature gets +1/+1. Whenever it equipped creature attacks, you can search your library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped, and shuffle, and it's equipped to. I really like this for your decks. It shines especially in equipment decks, but in general, in decks it'll work because the creature only needs to attack. It doesn't even need to get through, and I really love that part of the card.
Such a good early pick. This is going to be a staple play in any deck. B plus looks about right because I'd give it an A if it had a more relevant ability for the whole game, because in the late game, you don't really need lands that much. It's nice to thin your deck out, but it's really accelerates in the early game. It's perfect. Even in the mid game, it's fine. Just peters off a little bit, so it's like a B plus.
Yeah, I mean, it's colorless too. Keeps you wide open. I really like this card.
Oh yeah, I want to be probably picking this card highly multiple times. I believe this is the last card.
It
in the
is.
set. Yes, Rejuvenating Spring, standing in for the 5 dual lands. They're honestly not that great in draft. You could take them at a C plus level. They just tap for 2 colors. Nice fixing. 3-color decks are going to want them a lot more than 2-color decks who just will take them if they have nothing better to take. But usually a good spell, like a B level spell, is better than these cards. So C plus feels fine.
Yeah, C plus is good. If you're not in those 3-color decks or even the 5 colors, I would probably pass unless you're using them for decks that you're going to build outside of this draft.
Yeah, now you're caught up to speed. You have all the rares and all the mythics, but you've one flaw in your limited game. You haven't looked at the commons and uncommons. So extra special, super duper happy 11th birthday to Amber, and I'm going to send you to the set review of commons and uncommons, which is probably even longer, but it'll be worth it.
Absolutely. And always remember, wish Amber a happy birthday.
Every year.
Because she loves you.